boys are going to bring the heat today.
As the leader of the Booner pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the fuck up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff, Booner, and Lucas. It is Thursday, June 19th, and we are back. We got plenty to get to today, Boone. I mean, this Giannis stuff with the Pistons, it's everywhere. We'll discuss it later. We also have Top 10 Thursday today. We'll get through our offenses, where the Lions rank. It's going to be a great show. Lucas will be joining us. He's running a couple minutes behind, but he'll be here as well.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot to talk about. Man. All right, music's off. I'm tired of the music. I'm out on it. It gets me every time, dude. It's so loud I can't hear myself talk. It's unbelievable. No, hey, we do have a packed show. I'm pumped up. Eric's going to be on the show to talk some Pistons. I know there's been this whole debate with the Giannis thing. I'm shocked. I'll say this, that there are people on a certain side. I don't know fully what side Eric's on. I'm interested to hear his thoughts on it. I'm interested to hear yours, the people. Some Lions stuff we're doing today in the top 10s. I'm pumped up for the top 10s. I tried to get it as a top 5 because the top 10 was just a lot for me. But top 10 will do. I'm pumped up, though. Should be a fun show. A fun Thursday. Oh, excuse me, hiccups. Fun Thursday show. I've been drinking a lot of water. I heard water gives you hiccups. Didn't know if that's true or not, but
yeah,
I might have just made that up.
Well, Ball of Light says, when is the top 10 offenses? It'll be in the second hour. So around 9 o'clock, 9-ish, we'll get to that. If you miss it, you can go back and watch it when you have time. It'll be a good conversation because, again, it's hard to predict. Injuries, there's so many things that go into it. You're basically just factoring it off personnel, coaching, and we'll have that discussion. Where do the Lions rank? Because that's been the big discussion now with John Morton. Is like, what is this new era with John Morton look like? Well, we're gonna find out.
I'm excited though to think about that with John Morton. I know a lot that's been a conversation. A lot. Oh, one thing we are talking about today too. We haven't really had the conversation. We talked about how good the NFC North can be. We haven't talked about like the biggest threat to the Detroit Lions in the NFC North. I'm interested to hear some of the people's thoughts on that. That's a segment I wish we could do call-ins, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I would be interested to hear kind of where like the fan base falls on who is the threat. Is it the Packers? Is it Matt LaFleur? Are people starting to get concerned of Ben Johnson? Is it this whole thing with JJ and the Vikings? You have to pick one. So it's like, who's at the top of that list? Because I think it's different than ranking just the teams. Like I do think there can be a team that might be ranked or end up lower in the NFC North that might be a little bit more of a threat just based off of some different things. So, but never mind. Actually, yeah, I was gonna ask about the finals. I didn't know who you thought was gonna win tonight. If it's over,
I think it's over. I do. I had the Thunder in 6, so I'm sticking by that.
Sure, you did.
I think I had them in 5, but now we're going 6.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was about to say. All right,
we're going 6 now. With new information, now they already took 2 games. So I
had the Pacers going in 7 no matter what. So mine's still alive. Tyrese is playing tonight. I haven't heard that he's out. So if anyone knows that he's out, but from what I've seen, I saw Shams on the McAfee show, and the clip that was put out was there's no indication that he sits. So he's in. Yeah,
he is playing. He had that calf injury. I think
he's been hurt. Yeah. He's been hurt all series. That's why I was trying to tell people. The fact that he's been hurt since like game 1 essentially, and it's 3-2 now. If that man's fully healthy, they probably win the series. As good as the Thunder are, but I mean, you're talking about their best player has been injured for all 5-6 games. Like if he wasn't injured, he's probably not putting 4 points up the other night and they lose. You know what I mean? It's
calf injuries.
Different series.
You know how it is too. Man.
You can't shoot. It's hard to run. Defense
constantly. Like calf injuries suck.
Especially in basketball, you're going side to side. It's constant.
Yeah, hamstring like that. Well, it's much serious, but calf injury is the thing. Where, especially if you have, he probably has like a strain or something. So he's gonna play through it, but dude, it's gonna bother him all night. So I don't. We've seen guys play through worse injuries, so I'm not going to sit here and say that Tyrese is going to look like a shell of himself, but I think it's going to impact.
I think he'll be fine. I think if I'm being honest, I'm pretty sure he's been hurt the whole time, and he's had a couple of games where he's put 20, 10, and 10 up, So I think it's just at some games it irritates him more. Hopefully tonight's the night, because I would like, whether you want the Thunder to win or not, I would like a game 7. NBA Finals game 7 is electric.
It's one of the best things in sports.
Yeah.
I mean,
so I would love for the Pacers to just get a win tonight so we can get a game 7.
The X factor tonight is Jalen Williams, man. If he can play, maybe not 40, but if he can play well,
yeah,
they win the games, man. When Jalen Williams puts up 25 points and you have Shea going for 30, like that's the difference. And you have Chet doing what he does down low. I mean, just depends on that. I had a buddy of mine send me a bet. He had Siakam like 25, Jalen 25, Tyrese 2 threes, and Chet 10 rebounds or something like that, plus 1,000.
I did have a $5 free bet, and I put a $5 free bet in. I can name it to you if you want. I want to see what you think.
Let me hear it.
It's a long one because it's $5, so it's like you got to get some type of odds, right? Obi Toppin to score 8 points, couple dunks, right? That happens. Maybe a free throw or two.
Yeah, that can happen, definitely.
Siakam, points, rebounds, assists, 27.5 over. So 28 points, rebounds, assists for our guy Siakam. Alex Caruso, over 14.5 points, rebounds, assists. You like that one?
I do.
Caruso. Lou Dort. I really just did role players. Lou Dort, over 9.5 points, rebounds, assists. And hey, Jeff, get a load of this one. Are you ready? The last two. Alex Caruso, 2 steals. TJ McConnell, 1 plus 732. 6 legs, plus 732. $5 free bet on it.
Yeah, a $5. FanDuel gave me a $5 WNBA bet. So today? I threw it on Brittany Griner, 15 points. No, it was like the other day. It lost. So
no, you should have done like double or something. You should have thrown on Caitlin Clark. What are we doing here?
Yeah, that's an absolute L. But $5, they threw me in. Said, why not? I'll bet on some WNBA. Alan says, I would like the Pistons to get Giannis Antetokounmpo to go all in. Yeah, trust me, we'll get to
We had that conversation today.
It's going to be good, man.
I put a tweet out, Jeff, about that. Lots of comments. I had more comments at one point than likes on the tweet.
See, it is a hot topic right now.
Very, yeah.
People either want them or don't, but yeah, we'll get to that later. Running back rankings, though. PFF came out with their top 10 running back units. How?
This makes no sense.
So the Baltimore Ravens are 1, Lions are 2, Falcons, Eagles, Seahawks, Bucks, Packers, Bills, Cardinals, Panthers. So there's a lot wrong with this list, obviously. Number 1, what are we doing with the Ravens? And if you're factoring in that much with Derrick Henry, why are the Eagles 4? You know what I mean? It's like consistency. It's like if we're going off one player, then why isn't the Eagles higher? And if we're going off more than one player, then why aren't the Lions 1 and the Falcons probably? I mean, they're probably right around there. I would put the Eagles 2 as a unit, Lions 1, Falcons 3, and then you could put the Ravens 4. But I don't know how anyone in their right mind can not look at the Lions and be like, yeah, that's not the best running back room in the league. Room, by the way, not player. Yeah. We're not talking about one player. We're talking about the room.
You know Dave what this Montgomery is.
No other team in the league has 2 top 15 backs.
No.
Like,
no, it's
not even a thing.
Pro Football Focus. This is PFF, right?
Yes.
PFC. That's their new name from Boone. PFC. Pro Football Clicks. That's all they want. They just want clicks. They know what. I'll tell you this, Jeff. Dalton Wazerman, he knows what he's doing. He's rallying up the correct fan base, because Detroit Lions fans, we talk, they travel. It's probably the most, us and the Eagles are probably the 2 most fan bases that will get after it online. And I think that's what's happening here, if I'm being completely honest. I think he just, because I don't see a world, if I'm being honest, if you know football, watch football, follow the game, there's not a world where you don't think right now, like, it's not even that, hey, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, maybe they're the best running back duo in the game right now. they might be the best running back duo in NFL history. Like, we're not talking just like currently in the NFL. It's hard to find another one. We talk about Mark Ingram and Reggie Bush, like that duo, like
that type of duo.
You put them up with those guys, and you can sit here and say, hey, this duo is even better. So to go Derrick Henry and who's their backup again? I mean, see, I can't even off the top of my head.
Like what, Justice Hill?
Justice Hill there. I mean,
trying to think, I think got some
Keaton Mitchell, is it?
Keaton Mitchell.
I think that's. There's just no way. There's no way on God's green earth.
Yeah, the thing though, like people are saying in the comments, what about Lamar? It's like, well, then the Eagles are too low if we're going off running backs, and the Bills should be higher because you have Josh.
The Bills should be top 3 at that point because Josh Allen and James Cook.
Not. So I don't think they are going off the rushing ability because what? So to your point, I just don't see how anyone in today's age can just dismiss.
I would like to have Dalton on the show, and maybe he can break it down for us. We can reach out to him maybe, but I would actually like to hear his thought process behind that. I really would.
Then why not just name it rushing attacks or something? If you're going to add in quarterbacks, it's only running back units. Maybe
he doesn't like Craig Reynolds, but even then, it's just like the 1-2 in Detroit is just too good. You're talking about 2 RB1s essentially. There's Justice Hill or Keaton Mitchell. By the way, Colt Keith just hit a 2-run bomb to tie the game in the 7th.
Oh, let's go, dude!
Tied it up. Shout out to Doc. He's sitting behind the home plate right now at the home plate club. I just don't know how you see like neither David Montgomery or neither Keaton Mitchell or Justice Hill would be an RB1 on another team, in my opinion.
No,
any team. Demont, you could argue on 28, 27 teams, 26 teams, he's RB1. So it's ridiculous, dude. This is the offseason. This is where we're at in the offseason. And you know what I'm starting to realize? I used to like I like PFF when you're able to get some stats from it. And like you said, Jeff, when it fits your narrative. But in the offseason, PFF starts doing these rankings, and they know the fan bases that will click and the fan bases that will they'll get interactions with. So they did their job.
And if we're going off the room, like, watch out for the Texans, man. Nick Chubb and Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Come on.
I'm like, if it is like, again, and I get it, like Atur saying, I'm telling you, it's including Lamar. Like, I get that, but then why are the Bills so low with Josh and James Cook and your guys, Ray Davis? Why are they so low?
Ray Davis, yeah.
See what I'm saying here? It's like none of it makes any sense. It's this list is just, you can look at it different ways all you want, but then when you look at it that way, you're like, wait a second, why is this team down here? So it's just an inconsistent list.
I mean, PFF came out also with a kind of they do a thing where it's every NFL team's make or break player. They came out with an article, I think today or yesterday, where they went through every NFL team, listed one player that they think is the make or break player, like someone that could either significantly help the team or significantly hurt the team. It could go either way, make or break, or just make or break, meaning have to show out or else, it basically their time's ticking kind of thing. And the Lions player is a player we've talked about a lot. And I actually have something to add to this, but the player PFF decided to go with for make or break for the Lions is Graham Glasgow. That is the player. And they write here, Kevin Zeitler's departure in free agency and Frank Ragnow's sudden retirement leaves, I think they meant. Graham Glasgow is the only veteran presence on Detroit's interior offensive line, whether he plays guard or center. Glasgow needs to perform better than he did last season. His 57.2 PFF overall grade was his lowest figure since his rookie season in 2016. Glasgow will likely be starting alongside Mahogany and Ratledge, who will have 2 NFL starts between them. That's pretty crazy. Glasgow needs to be the glue that holds the interior together in Detroit. So there is, man, it's crazy how last year we talk about Graham as, someone that could be losing his spot. And then now all of a sudden we're talking about Graham as if he is like, he's going to be the glue. It's like how much you need him now. I don't know if that's concerning or not. I mean, you take that however you want.
I think it is. I think no matter what, there's a concern, whether you like him or not.
Yeah, now it comes all the way back to like this guy's got to perform. Before it was,
Pressure's on.
Ratledge going to take his spot, and then Frank drops the retirement bomb, and now everyone's panicking. And I do think I will say with Graham, he is. If you had to go on offense, he is the make or break, especially because of like what PFF said. He's the veteran in the middle. Especially if you play center. You have two guys next to you that are young, basically rookies. I mean, Christian Mahogany missed a lot of training camp OTAs, and he got to the Lions late in the season because of other things, and he only started in like one game. So you don't have a lot of experience around Graham either. So to PFF's point on offense, I think it's fair. I do have a player that I think is probably a bigger make or break, but
I do think with Graham, because the problem runs into if Graham doesn't work out, and I think the issue is before, let's say Zeitler was there, you could at least run with a Tate, or you could run with the Christian Mahogany. You had options, like you had depth. I think now if like Graham doesn't work out and he ends up playing the way he did last year, you have to bring in another rookie in Miles Frazier. And that's
or you're signing. We'll see what happens, but Tristan Colon.
Tristan Colon. Okay, yeah, I forgot we have Tristan Colon.
He'd be the older
but
one.
It's just you're in a spot to where you're in a little bit of a position to where you're now sitting night and day. It's like just complete 180 with the position you were in last season when you signed him. Remember when we signed him? We're like, this is a great like 6-man. Like this is the Detroit Lions offensive line's Lou Will. That's what Graham Glasgow was. But imagine if the Clippers had to ask Lou Will, hey, to be the third option and a starter. You're sitting there going, like Blake Griffin goes down, and you're like, hey, Lou, we need you to step up this season. You're going, we might not be there anymore. You know what I mean? So like that's the thing with Graham. And but like at least the positive is we know what his ceiling is. His ceiling is a very good football player and a very good offensive lineman and a vet. So I think there is positives to it. But yeah, concern there, dude. There's so much concern with this whole Graham Glasgow situation, I feel like.
Yeah, he's a good mentor for Tate to learn from, but in terms of just play on the field, that's the big question. It's not like he's 26 years old and you're looking at him like, yeah, he struggled, but man, there's so much promise. I mean, he's 32, 33, man. You know, it's like you're expecting a guy to get better as he gets older. So, or at least get back to what he originally was, which can be scary. I mean, even Xavier, he said, I was pretty sure his numbers at center were much better than guard.
Well, and his numbers at right guard are good. That's why I start to get into a spot, Jeff. Yeah, I don't have the numbers either. I just start to get to a spot to where I know Tate's a rookie, but like when you look at the numbers from Graham, left guard, center, right guard, he is best at right guard. And put him next to Panay. That's why for me, it's just throw Tate at center, let him go, and put Graham in the best position possible to be successful. You know you can get him back to 2 years ago. 2 years ago, he was old as well. And obviously you can get old there. Last year was just like, dude, you were just not good. You struggled. And I don't think it had anything to do with age. I think he was going through injury. I think he just had a bad year, which we see guys have. So I think it's like, hey, get him back to where he's the most comfortable, which is right guard, and let him roll. So that's in my opinion, that's kind of how it is. And I think there's a chance he gets back to where he was 2 years ago. Obviously, it sucks that we have to hope for it because Frank's out, but that's just what it is. Who did you have? Who was the other player you had?
So let me address this too. Why not bring in Brandon Sheriff, who was a very good guard last year, to strengthen the interior next to a new center? I think Nick P is spot on. Like, I think if you're looking at this offensive line and maybe they just think we're going to go with the young guys and just let those guys develop. But if you're looking at this team and I know Dan is, I know Brad is, and you're looking at this team and going, hey, we're Super Bowl contenders now. Like, and we're going to put those odds and basically put it on the shoulders of Christian Mahogany and Tate Ratledge, which again, Tate Ratledge, I think is going to be very good. Mahogany, I think is going to be very good. But they are still young. They're inexperienced. There's still going to be games where they're still learning, like they're not going to be, no one's perfect, but especially if you don't have a lot of experience, like you're definitely not going to be perfect. There's going to be games where Christian Mahogany struggles. And there's going to be games, man, where like Tate Ratledge looks like a rookie. It's just how it is. Now, I think they'll eventually get through that, but are you okay with having that this season? Brandon Sheriff, we know what he is. You know, he's been a very good guard for a while. Like, I wouldn't hate at all if they brought in Brandon Sheriff. Let's say you just got rid of Colby Sorsdahl, just cut him, and you brought in Brandon Sheriff, or maybe Tristan Colon, whatever it is. You make room for Brandon Sheriff, and you want to have Tate Ratledge at center, go ahead. You know,
I don't think, though, the Tristan Colon signing shows me. This hiccups with this water's killing me. It shows me, though, that they're not getting Brandon Sheriff.
It'd be such a good fit.
It would, but you would have done that.
You have a veteran now.
You would have done that instead of Tristan Colon. At the end of the day, you would have.
I don't know why he wouldn't be. Maybe there's other.
I think it's because Tristan Colon has
center
experience at center. I literally think that's it. I think it's because he played when he was in Baltimore. He played center, and in college, Colby. I believe I don't know if it was actually Baltimore, but I know in college he played center.
It's like, get Colby out of here then. You know,
I agree.
Make room for Brandon Sheriff.
I agree, right? But again, you do have to realize though, like the money on like Brandon's side, he might want something that he might want a 2-3 year deal because he is a good guard. You know, he might want something a little bit more like,
I would only be
career, and
I would want like a Kevin Zeitler deal,
1 year,
like a 1 year deal. Come win a Super Bowl, man. You start next to Penei Sewell or Taylor Decker. Go ahead.
Now, if Brandon Sheriff sounds like a 1 year, $8 million deal with someone, I'm going to be turning heads a little bit. Like, okay, what's going on?
Oh yeah, and he's a vet. He probably ain't going to do all the OTA shit. He'll probably be like a training camp signing somewhere. But I'd bring him in. I would.
Who's the guy that you had?
So let me bring in Klotz here. Klotz, how we doing?
What's up, Klotz?
How are we, fellas?
Good.
So Klotz, and this is what I think about this article. Okay, PFF thinks Graham Glasgow is the make or break player. I think there's a bigger make or break player. Okay. To me, the biggest make or break player for the Lions, like meaning make or break, is Marcus Davenport. That is the make or break player. Like, I think Graham, you could definitely argue. But when we talk about what he could be or might be at his best versus what we kind of know when he's hurt, if you get the make, it'll help you a lot. Or if you get the break, no pun intended, meaning he gets hurt, then we know what that does as well. It hurts you. So I think Davenport, in my opinion, is a better make or break player than Graham, because if you have Davenport playing at the level that we think he can play at if he's healthy, and that is, let's say he plays, I dare say 15 games. I'll just go with like 14 or something.
13.
Yeah.
Yeah, 13.
But if he can get you 6 sacks, like he's kind of a guy that every 2 games gets like a sack or something like that, what that would mean to this defense, and we talk about winning a Super Bowl, you need this defense to get there. And we already know what a lot of these players are. Aiden, Brian, Kirby, like DJ Reed, Jack, Anzalone, was assuming it works out. We know what these guys all are, okay? We don't really know what Davenport is or what he can be, all right, because he's never available. And all I've heard this offseason from Brad is he looks good out there, okay? He looks taking care of his body, all right? He looks he's in shape. He's given 110% effort. But I think if there's a player you can describe as make or break, to me, it's Marcus Davenport, more so than Graham Glasgow. And I think Graham's a really good one.
Here's my issue. I don't know how, in my opinion, you can't be make or break if you're already broke. And Marcus Davenport has pretty much, I think, the last 3 to 4 years of his NFL career, it has been make or break. Last year with the Lions, make or break. The year before with the Vikings, I believe, correct? Or am I tweaking? Did he play somewhere? I'm pretty sure with the Vikings.
Yes.
Make or break because they signed him to big money.
Yep. It was 1
year before. Signed him big money. You hardly played make or break. And then the year where he went off for his franchise, for his last deal with the Saints, it was make or break. But hey, that's the only year you've seen Marcus Davenport play good football. So that's been Marcus Davenport's career over the last 3-4 seasons, going even 5 seasons probably. So I get what you're saying, Hefe, but
I don't think, though,
in my opinion, I don't put him in that conversation.
I don't think, though, Klotz, you're looking at it as a make or break season for Marcus Davenport. That's not the conversation. The conversation is make or break for the defense. Like, if he is healthy and plays well, it changes the defense.
That's fair.
Like, for his career, it's been for years. But to Jeff's point, If you get a healthy Marcus Davenport, even if it's 75% of the season, it changes your defense, whether you like him or not. Is if he is healthy, that makes or breaks your defense, especially if Zadarius Smith isn't on this defense. You're sitting there going, okay, who's our second best edge rusher? It is Marcus Davenport. Is he healthy? Question mark. No one knows.
Yeah.
And like, that's the biggest thing. Cause like, to me, Jeff, I think you're spot on with it, because I look at it like this. When you go into the playoffs, who's the biggest? Obviously Hutch and Branch and all Jack, and those guys are the biggest impact. Who could put you over the top in the playoffs? If you have another edge rusher in Marcus Davenport and he is healthy throughout your whole playoff run, I don't care if he's healthy. Honestly, people are like, I want him healthy. Dude, I don't sit out for the whole season. I don't care. If you sit out all season and you're ready to go for the wild card or divisional, I'm happy. I would rather Marcus Davenport not play in 17 games and be ready to go for the playoffs than him playing 12 games or 8 games and not be there in January and February. Dead serious. I would rather him just sit off, just stay in game shape. Stay in game shape. We're going to find a way to get to the playoffs without you. We did it last year. We went 15-2 without you and Hutch. We'll find a way with Hutch in our rotation. Just be ready for the playoffs. That's, to me, the more make or break situation. It's just making sure that man is good to go for the playoffs.
Well, I actually have something to add, but before I do that, I have to tell you about the sponsor of the show. And that is our great friends over at Comer and Cross. So let me tell you about them, guys, because it is summer. And when it's nice out, you may get renovations to your home, specifically maybe your garage, your basement, or even your patio. And Comer and Cross is offering one-day installation. And I'm sure many people in the chat, homeowners, and you're sick and tired of staring at your cracked garage floor, or even peeling epoxy or chipped paint, making your whole garage look neglected. Well, right now, during Comer and Cross's summer installation sale, they're offering 12 months, same as cash, or $500 in savings. Call the number 248-834-3488. They transform patios, pool decks, basements, even driveways, not just garages. They do it all. So if you need work done, call the number. They'll even move the stuff out for you. Again, 248-834-3488, 248-834-3488, or book your free estimate at comercross.com. Let them know your friends over at Crunch Time sent you. All right, let's get back to the show. Shout out to Comer and Cross. But I want to tell you guys this too. It's not just Davenport. I think he's the biggest make or break player. I actually think, and this is a perfect tie into the next conversation. Yeah. I think Davenport is the most important defensive role player on this entire roster. I think he is, and despite, I can sit here and tell you, how he's not going to stay hurt. And again, that gets repetitive. We already understand the guy does not stay healthy. Okay. But if we're talking about important role players, he is important because they signed him to be your DN2. The biggest narrative in Detroit has been get Hutch help. And with Brad, he feels and is confident that Davenport is maybe not the solution, or maybe not the answer, but somewhat of a solution. Whatever. I think he's the most important role player. And hear me out on this. Because if you get a Davenport that stays relatively healthy, like I said, and he produces, I think that might eat, because again, you look at great edge rushers and you look at great seasons. I mean, even TJ Watt, when he won Defensive Player of the Years, these guys have always had a running mate to make them better. They've always have. It makes guys better when you have someone else there winning one-on-ones. And it's not just Davenport, obviously. You talk about the interior of the defensive line, Tyleek, Aleem when he gets back, like DJ, all that stuff. But just talking about the other side of Hutch, if Davenport is playing and Davenport is healthy, and he looks pretty good, I think not only will it affect Aiden and make him even better, but I think it's going to make the secondary better. Obviously, cornerback Terry Arnold had to play last year with no one up front; everyone was hurt, so he gets better by default. But it also makes this defense; it takes it to another level, because when you get into the playoffs and you look at the schedule, man. Like, I'm not just talking about the playoffs; I'm talking about the regular season too. The schedule's filled with great quarterbacks. Like quarterbacks you have to go and sack. So if you have Davenport playing and he's productive, that's going to change to me a lot, because if you were to go down, which probably most likely, I'm not going to argue he won't, then you're looking at a position where, you have other guys out there that aren't really necessarily great pass rushers. I think the next best one, in my opinion, would probably be Ahmed Hassanin, if I'm being real. Levi Ozarike, Josh Paschal are pretty good players, or I guess solid players, but they're not rushing off the edge and being productive. You're in a tricky spot. So I think not only is Davenport the make or break player, fellas, I think he's the most important role player. And I know it might sound crazy because there's other role players on this defense you'd probably point to and be like, this guy's important. But man, dude, a healthy Davenport, we could talk all day about the new coordinators. There's not a doubt in my mind with Kelvin Shepard. We love the guy. But if he has Davenport, which he's already talked about in press conferences, man, what we've talked about with this defense needing to be where it needs to be to win a Super Bowl. You're in a Super Bowl facing the Bills, the Ravens, the Chiefs, and you have a healthy Davenport playing the way he's playing, or playing the way we hope he can play. Yes, it changes things. Okay. Obviously, Za'Darius would be ideal. I agree. Not going to argue that at all. But we're just talking about what is, not what could be, which is signing Za'Darius. What is, which all you have is Davenport. I think he's the most important role player, fellas. I do. Most important.
Yeah, I don't hate it, to be honest. I really don't. I think he's especially if you're looking defensively, like if we're just doing most important defensive role players, I think you'd have to put him at the top of the list. I have one I don't think people would expect. And you know what? Can we play a game real quick? Can we do something here?
Let's do it.
I would like to chat. And do you guys have pencil and pen and paper over there?
Yep.
I would like you guys you two to write down who you think I'm going to say. And I would like the chat to start putting in there.
Write down a name, and you said it's surprising.
I'm interested to see if anyone puts this name. I really am.
I have mine down.
I'm interested. I don't think anyone's going to say it. Think outside the box a little bit.
On defense? Or
yeah, it's that's the segment. The segment is
the player, right? We're not doing like
player. The segment is most important role player on the defensive side of the ball for the Detroit Lions in 2025.
I got it. Can I tell you my guess?
No, wait. I want to see the chat. I'm waiting for the chat. I think we're delayed on the chat, so I'm just waiting for the
second.
I have a good feeling about this one.
You guys want to put anything on it? If someone gets it,
I don't know about that.
I'll put $1 on the line.
Okay,
because you could switch. You could do
you want me to write it down just so?
No, I believe you. I believe you.
No, I believe you. I believe you.
I see. Oh, I see a DJ Reader Ukwu. I think someone's saying
Isaac Ukwu.
Alex Anzalone. Isaac Ukwu.
Edward said
Ty
Lee.
Angel a role player.
I would never disrespect the Thor like that, man. Pascal. Wow. Okay. Maddox. Okay. There's a couple in here. We're getting some through. Wingo, Mackay. Shout out Mackay, man. What a legend, dude.
I got
Mackay follows the boys.
That's the one I had. I thought that was going to be it.
No,
you put Mackay?
Mine hasn't been mine. I got it.
I'll say it before you show it, Jeff. Meek, Ty Williams. I'll say no one said it yet. No one has said it yet.
I think I know who it is now then.
Write your second guess down. Go ahead.
Oh,
my role player.
Wow, I was confident in the one I had.
Are you ready for this?
Someone said it in the chat.
No one said it in the chat.
Oh.
Hassanin.
Want me to just tell you? Because someone said it. Who I had?
It is. Oh, who'd you have?
I had Ennis Rakestraw.
Nope.
Yeah. That was my second one, too.
I love Ennis. It's not Ennis.
Trevor Nowaski.
Who is
All right,
it?
boys.
Oh, I thought he was going to say it was.
It's Derek Barnes. It's Derek Barnes.
You took
most
mine,
important role player is Derek Barnes. And I know Klotz had his dispute with him, which put all that to the side. Yep. Listen, I'm a big Derek Barnes fan. You guys all have known this. I think Derek Barnes has the opportunity. What is he, Jeff? 24 years old.
Yeah,
very young football player. And I still think his ceiling is there. And obviously, I'm not going to say he's Jack Campbell's ceiling. And so I don't know on that. But I think the Derek Barnes that you're looking for on this Detroit Lions defense, I think you're going to get it this year. And what people were looking for last year before that big injury, a very good Sam linebacker. And the reason I bring it up is the one thing this Detroit Lions defense has been missing for years, and they have just been trying to rotate guys and find guys in that position. and they haven't been able to find a guy that fits that perfect mold. And it feels like Derek Barnes, who has played every linebacker position known to man on this Detroit Lions defense, in 23, he had over 80 tackles for this team. He had 11.5 tackles for a loss, boys. And over his last 3 years, he's had 4+ sacks on this Detroit Lions defense. He produces when his number is called, right? Like, he's not a guy that's starting all 17 games, but when his number's called, he's going out there and putting those numbers up, and he's giving you production. I think the fact that you're finally going to get in my opinion, and you guys know I love Trevor, I love the guys that have played that Sam position. I think Derek Barnes is at a different level. I think you finally have a guy playing Sam to where you can just lean back and trust. And I think that's exactly why they paid him. I think Kelvin Shepard, they had the conversation with Kelvin and Brad and Dan and said, listen, like, we need this guy in the building. I know he's coming off a major injury, but that position is important for us. We talk about getting to the quarterback. That Sam position is a guy that's got constantly getting after the quarterback, and you have to trust to make a play, break down, make a tackle. I think Derek Barnes is that guy, and I think if he has a big year, boys, I think that defense is stout. Even if you don't have a Marcus Davenport and you're rotating edges, at least you have a guy. If you're sending your Sam linebacker, you're sending Derek Barnes. At least, in my opinion, you have a guy that you can trust getting to the quarterback and finishing the quarterback if Hutch isn't. So that's kind of my thought process with it. Where, like, yeah, you can have Marcus, but if you have a Sam linebacker next to him, or you have him right there behind, I think this guy can do. I think he can do it all, and I'm pumped up to see it. I really am. I think he's going to be a game changer on this defense.
I think the Derek Barnes take, it's a great take. I think it's even more of a bigger deal because of what's going on with Anzalone. I'm not saying he's going to leave, but I think it does make you look at Derek Barnes and say, man, if this thing goes south, you're going to need him a lot more.
Yeah.
He might even have to move over and play that will spot,
Which I hope. Imagine if it doesn't happen, if Anzo comes back and you have Jack, Anzo, and D Barnes.
All those three.
That's lethal. That's like, I would argue, and you guys could, I don't care if you agree or not, I really don't. I would say that's a top linebacker, little top 3, 1, 2, 3 in the NFL. I would.
It'd be up there. It'd be a good one. And Boone, you kind of fucked now.
Well, take Ennis Rakestraw.
Whoa.
I don't even want to say Ennis, though, because I don't think he's like the most important. I would argue Amik. If you consider Amik one.
Real quick, I want to just say one thing on Derek real quick. The thing I look at with Derek too, I want to add, he's the thing with him is just consistency. That is really the big thing with him, because you've seen games where you're like, wow, this is what they saw at Purdue, and then you see other games where it's like, like not last year because he got hurt. He actually looked pretty good before he got hurt, but the game against the Bucs when he sealed the game with the pick, that's like, okay. I'm not saying the guy's got to seal games, but what I'm saying is, like, taking the ball, you're like, oh, okay, this is what they see in him. Derek Barnes here. So for me, like, I just need to see, and they paid him, and obviously when you get paid, more expectations, all that stuff. But now it's just seeing that Derek Barnes, maybe not every game you're expecting a pick to win it, but making impactful plays like that more often than not. So
and real quick, too, even what Coach Walk said, the fact that Shep played linebacker, and even he was in that room with him for the last couple of years, I think, in my opinion, it gives a little positive light on, hey, he knows what Barnes is and can be. So you know they're going to get the most out of him at the end of the day.
Yes.
I'm with you. Yeah, that's why if I had to go with another one, I probably would say Amik, just because I don't consider Terrion one, just because in my opinion, this is the year where you expect Terrion to take over as a cornerback one. I know you signed DJ Reed, but this dude's in his second year coming out of Bama, first round pick, drafted in between Nate Wiggins and Quinyon Mitchell. Like, he's supposed to step up and play good this year. So if you view Terrion as a role player, could go that. I don't. I view Amik a little bit more as that. But you saw how Amik was very important, especially late in that season after Carlton Davis went down last year. He has a versatility to play inside and out, and he's not playing for a big contract right now. So he's going to be trying to play out of his mind. He sees Ennis Rakestraw. He sees Avonte Maddox. He sees the guy, Rock Ya-Sin, everybody that's been added or coming back from injury. And he understands that, yeah, I played great last year. There's the narrative that I shut Justin Jefferson down week 18. But we've seen positions in Amik's career where it's like, okay, Amik's a really good player, but he's not a cornerback one. He could be cornerback two. He wants to change that conversation. Hey, if another team or the Detroit Lions want to keep me around, I have that potential to be a very solid cornerback two, and maybe have games where I look like a cornerback one like he did week 18. So for him to be playing at a high level, if you have Terrion taking that step. If you have DJ Reed playing the same level that he has been, Kirby Joseph, all-pro last year, keep getting interceptions. Brian Branch, we expect him to take a bigger jump this year. Not saying that he needs to, but we expect a better season out of Brian Branch this year than we saw last year. So if you have all four of those guys playing at a very high level, and then your nickelback and Amik Robertson is laying dudes out when they're trying to do RPOs, coming up against the run, forcing fumbles, and he's also just locking down guys in the slot. I mean, if you have a good pass rush and that secondary at 5 spots is just good to great, that's going to be hard to score points on and get yards on. And that kind of takes away from the Angelo situation, from Jack Campbell. That takes pressure off of him in trying to get to that all-pro level step, or at least Pro Bowl level step. He can just go out there and play free because he knows he has great players at front and behind him. It'd be like besides Marcus Davenport, I would view like Amik Robertson as like that final, like the cherry on top of this defense if he goes out there and balls out, because it adds another element to this defense that could be just solid.
Healthy, who has a higher ceiling in their career, Amik or Ennis?
I'm going to go with
ceiling.
Go ahead. I would go with Amik, to be honest, because I think when you look at Amik on the outside,
Wrong.
Dude, I'm telling you, because Ennis, it's easy to say ceiling because we don't quite know what that is fully yet.
Yeah,
and I think let's look at Ennis. He's year 2. All we really have to watch film wise is him coming out of college.
Yes.
If you go back and you watch Amik Robertson's film at SMU, or no, it was Louisiana Tech. This dude, it's like, how is he a 3rd-round pick? And then you watch him kind of year by year get better with Vegas, and he had no help. He had Max Crosby, but Max Crosby had no help. And he was in a situation where who the fuck is watching the Raiders? He comes to the Lions, and I think even Lions fans, like when they signed Amik, like I was like, I think I've seen that name before, but I wasn't familiar with his game. I think there's going to be the primetime game that he has, like Amik Robertson, I think can solidify himself as another team's cornerback too. He does what Ennis Rakestraw does already, like very good. Amik can come up and lay somebody out. He's good at the run. That's what Ennis is like.
I see what you're saying.
Coverage-wise on the outside, I think Amik, not saying Ennis can't, but if I'm guessing.
Yeah, I just think Amik's kind of, how old is he? Amik's like 28, right?
Probably like middle.
I think when you look at ceiling, I think he is what he is. You know, could he have a career year? Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm not saying he can't, but I think Amik is what he is. That's why I would probably lean Ennis, even though I get people are like, whoa, what? Guy could be a bust. How do you not? I mean, we don't know. So I think ceiling wise, I'd probably go Ennis. But like I get it. Amik's a better player. Like if Ennis turns out to be Amik Robertson, like that level of player, then you're happy with it. I just think with the unknown, that's probably why I lean Ennis. It's like we don't know how good he can be.
He could be an all-pro player. Who knows? Yeah. He just hasn't been healthy.
You know, so but he did a pretty good job covering Justin Jefferson, so I'm not going to take that away.
If Amik leaves Detroit, I would love for him to land with the Jets with HE. That'd be him.
That's another one people aren't talking about, like getting paid. He's going to have to get paid soon, man. You know what I mean?
That's why you have Ennis and DJ Reed.
Is it Meek 26? Am I stupid?
Yeah, I think he is 26.
He is. You know what? Disregard everything I just said, man.
I don't think Amik is.
No, you know what? Take that away. Of course, he can get better. Yeah, take that away.
Like I think he can take like those steady jumps where it's like how many? Because I don't think he had any interceptions at all last year. I think all of his turnovers were fumble recovery or forced fumbles. But if like you see him get like 1 or 2 picks this year, like the year after, like when he's 28, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Amik get 3 interceptions. And as good as a run defender that he is, and how sticky he is in man coverage, physical, like, that's a really good corner in the NFL. Not elite, but really good, really good.
Yeah.
No, I take that back. He's 26 years old, man. You're young. I mean, 28, you're not old, but I'm saying he still has 2 years, bro. He's got 4 years before he hits 30. He still hasn't played his best ball yet, you know. So I do. Maybe I was overstating that. I thought he was 28 for some reason. I don't know why. But he did a good job against Justin Jefferson when the Lions battle all these teams in the NFC North. So it's time for the question. When you look around the NFC North,
here we go.
I'll just flat out ask who's the biggest threat to the Lions in the NFC North? Because I don't know how many times I got to tell you. I don't know how many times I got to tell you. And you know what, guys? Again, here come the comments. Bears fan, Bears slappy. Guys, hear me out on this. It's the Bears. They are the biggest threat to the Lions.
Here we go.
And there's a lot of angles to take on this. Okay. I'll start first with coaching. They don't have Eberflus anymore. They don't have the laughing stock coaching staff that they've had.
Yeah.
They have a piece of the Lions. Actually, more than one piece. They have Antoine Randall as well. JT Barrett, Ben Johnson. They took some of your staff members who we all loved when they were here. All of a sudden now they can't coach. But they're still very good coaches. They also have, on offense, pretty good pieces. You want to bring up offensive line? They rebuilt their offensive line. It looks very good. Talk about wide receivers. They have a bunch of those. We love Sam Laporta. Well, have you heard of Colson Loveland? It's probably going to be pretty good at tight end. Cole Kmet. So they have weapons on offense. And then I go to defense. They have one of the best corners in the league, Jalen Johnson. They have a very good secondary overall. They have been a very good secondary. They have a great linebacker core. TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, it's pretty good.
Bro's going down the depth chart right now.
And then you go up front and, a little shaky, but Montez Sweat, he's a pretty good player. They have Javon Dexter, big fella up the middle.
Really
but
good
they
player.
Still have, and they signed, I can't pronounce his name, the defensive end from the Colts, who's pretty solid. So their defense is always going to be pretty good. And I'll tell you this, Dan Campbell, so now that we got past the coaching staff, because Ben Johnson, he's familiar with the Lions. If there's any coach that knows the Lions, it's the guy who literally was the offensive coordinator. So when you talk about biggest threat, I'm going to go with a guy who's a part of the organization, 5 months ago. So he understands the Lions. He's very familiar with the Lions, more so than any other coach in the NFC North. The other side of it is the Lions have been dominating NFC North teams since Dan Campbell got here. He has a very good record. You know which team has beat him the most? Not the Vikings, not the Packers. It's the Bears. The Bears, he has a great record against all teams. So let's be real here. 6-2 against the Vikings, 6-2 against the Packers, 5-3 against the Bears. So it's one win. But still, the Bears have given the Lions problems, man. It's the weather. And now you're factoring in new quarterback who you guys can say sucks and he's a bust. Okay, fine. I think he's going to be very good now with Ben Johnson. So I think matchup-wise, taking into consideration those coaches who are a part of the Lions, taking into consideration who I think Caleb Williams will be a very good quarterback, the offense, basically the offensive line being revamped, I think the Bears, it's not just for this year, guys. Like Ben's young, Caleb's young. They're going to only grow. So I think they're going to be better. I'm not sold on Jordan Love. And I'm sorry, Kevin O'Connell's a very good coach. But I'm just not high on J.J. McCarthy. And I think ceiling-wise, I'm going to go with Caleb. I think he can impact. I think he can be a true game changer. I do. I really do think that. So I'm going to go with the Bears. Biggest threat. Give me the Bears.
Do you want to go first? Or you want me?
Oh,
to?
yeah, no. Honestly, Klotz, I'll go first here. Me and you have the same exact one because I know you very well, Klotz. I know what you're going to say. So I'll cook a little bit here. And by the way, I just saw the doc on national television with the Tigers here. He's in the home plate club. This guy's sitting in the home plate club going
balling. Yeah, he's
just jumping around.
He had sushi.
Yeah, so he's one of those rich people. We hate the home plate club, and I'm going to ask him where he got those tickets. Maybe we can get in there.
Those things, and I bet because Skeens pitched today too, didn't he?
He's sitting at the game with Skeens. So, I think they just delayed the game at the bottom of the ninth. I could be wrong. I don't know what's going on. All right, I think Klotz. And just give me a yeah if we're on the same page.
Yep.
I don't think it's close. Well, it's close. I'll say this. The NFC North is starting to get closer. You're starting to see everything fall into place a little bit. How the AFC North was for the longest with the Steelers when the Browns started to get good with Baker and with the Bengals with Joe Burrow. Like, you're starting to see that, and the Ravens, obviously. I think you're starting to see that more in the NFC North to where a lot of these teams are starting to catch up to the Lions, and I don't think it's a bad thing. Because it's not that the Lions are getting worse. It's just that teams are starting to get better, and this division's getting better. So I don't hate the fact that you say the Bears, Jeff. But if we're being realistic, and we're not lying to ourselves. And we're not just being biased because we love the quarterback.
Narrative driven.
And narrative driven is the perfect way to do it. If we're being honest with each other, the Minnesota Vikings right now, what they did in the offseason and what we've seen, you're going based off of projection, Jeff. Me and Klotz are going off of production and what we have seen Kevin O'Connell do with every single quarterback that has come through that quarterback room. Kevin O'Connell has found a way to make him win games or help him win games. Every single one. There hasn't been a quarterback, worst quarterback, best quarterback. Hasn't been a quarterback that's walked through that building that they've thrown out there that you would have been like, oh, he looked terrible in that offense. He did not look. Guys that Nick Mullins, I don't care if he won or lost, he threw for 500 yards multiple times in this offense. So we're talking about putting players in positions to be successful. Kevin O'Connell, outside of maybe Dan Campbell, is the best to do it in the NFC North. And they have the team to do it. They have the defense. They added pieces defensively in that defensive line. They've added offensive line. As much as you want to talk about the Bears' offensive line, they went and got a new offensive line.
Offensive line in the NFC North.
Yeah. So, and then you just add JJ in there, who has all the talent in the world. We're talking about, hey, can he do? Nick Mullins did it there. Josh Dobbs did it there.
Come on, boo.
JJ McCarthy is a better player times 4 those two combined. So, to me, there's no question. I think it's the Vikings. As much as we don't want to believe it and people don't want to it's the Minnesota Vikings. They still have Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, a great offensive line, and now they're adding a quarterback, which, Klotz, Kevin O'Connell's never had. He's never had a mobile quarterback as well.
Yeah.
Now you're adding the mobility.
He had Dobbs,
yes. But JJ, in my opinion, it's like that's mobile.
Yeah, and I think the other point that's important when you're talking about biggest threat in the NFC North, not winning a game, winning the NFC North. When you look at who is the Chicago Bears starting quarterback and who is the Minnesota Vikings starting quarterback, you're going to give the edge to JJ or to Caleb because of the year of experience. Yeah, I'll give you there. So you're going to give it there. Go through the rest of the Bears roster. Who's their wide receiver? 1, DJ Moore. How many divisions / payoff experience does DJ Moore have? 0 and 0. When you go to Justin Jefferson, there's a gap there when it comes to what he's done in the NFL. Rome Odunze, young guy. Jordan Addison, young guy. Jordan Addison, older. When you look at Colson Loveland, here we go, Colson Loveland. TJ Hawkinson, been in the league, been putting up numbers. This offensive line, older. I understand that they got Tooney from the Bears, but when you look at the Minnesota Vikings offensive line, 1, it's just better. And 2, they have experience and youth, and their youth is a first-round pick in Donovan Jackson. And this whole time that we're talking about the Vikings, we haven't even talked about their defense. The Vikings defense was incredible last year. They have a defensive player of the year candidate, Andrew Van Ginkel, and you can scoff at that name all you want. Not you two, but people around the NFL will. When you watch Andrew Van Ginkel play football, that dude's probably a top 15 defensive player in the NFL. They were good at getting to the quarterback, tops in the league getting at quarterback, tops in near the top of the league in turnovers. And then they add guys like Jonathan Allen, and they add more pieces through the draft. I mean, it's a tragic story, but they could have had a really good player last year in Kyrie Jackson on the outside. Unfortunately, had to pass away. But now they're going to be adding more players in the secondary as well. So that defense could have even been better last year. And I think when you look at Dennis Allen, really good DC, but I look at Brian Flores, and I think that they're at least on the same tier of defensive coordinators strictly because Brian Flores, I mean, he was a head coach. Dude was a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator, at least assistant with New England. He knows what it's like to win divisions, go down that stretch. Dennis Allen does as well. But I just think overall Minnesota has more experience, especially where it matters. Like if you have Caleb Williams, who has a tendency to run himself into problems. He was the most sacked quarterback in the NFL last year. His offensive line was terrible, but let's not act like Caleb Williams was not running into issues. JJ McCarthy is going to run into issues, but his supporting cast, I think, will bail him out a lot better than the supporting cast in Chicago will, because the experience that all these rookies last year had was being part of the worst offense in the NFL, the 32nd ranked offense. When you look at Minnesota, that's a completely different situation. They have Aaron Jones in the backfield, and they're bringing in Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason's going to be a really good running back, too, for him, and people won't talk about that enough. I think Minnesota has primed themselves for the future. Like, we talk about, Boone, you talked about the other day, when the Lions have to move off of Goff. That's when I think for like a year or two, Minnesota can probably control the division, just with how they've set themselves up. They're at least, I don't know if it's going to go that way, but I think the way that they're angling it, they're setting themselves up for when Detroit, there's going to be a year that they don't win the NFC North, a year or two. Minnesota's right behind them. It could be this year. I hope not, but could be. I don't think JJ year one.
I don't think too. By the way, too, like I'll throw this out there as well, Jeff. And maybe I'm not going to say Klotz agrees with me, but like I don't think this Bears team's going to be bad. It's going to be a good Bears team. I think Caleb's going to have a good year with Ben. I think as much as we compare DJ, he's comparing DJ to JJ. Or that's Justin Jefferson, not McCarthy. I think DJ Moore is going to be good. I think all those guys, I think they're going to have a good year. I really do. I'm just, hey, what team is closer to passing the Lions or even getting close to the Lions? In my opinion, it is the Vikings right now. Now, if you want to say, hey, 3-4 years down the line or in the next 2 or 3 years, okay, yeah, you can have an argument for the Bears. You really can because of Ben Johnson and because of the young talent that they do have. Because they have a lot of talent, both sides of the ball, a ton. So I think like if you're looking like 2-3 years, but in my opinion, like this year, when you just look at it, I think the Bears still, Jeff, me and you we had this conversation last year with first time head coaches that it takes longer sometimes for those first year head coaches to kind of get under, get a feel for it. That doesn't mean they're going through a rebuild. Like we don't think Ben's going through a rebuild, but there's still that gap of time where, hey, you have to adjust a little bit and get a feel for it. After this year, maybe I would say the Bears, but going into this year, I had to say the Vikings.
I look at it like I look at Ben, and I know people can call me crazy. Sean McVay walked into the Rams and they went 11-5. I don't think it's crazy. Like I think Ben Johnson is going to be on that level. I don't know if I'm not saying they're going to go 11-5, but my point is like if you're a good coach, I think things just work. Like especially if it's night and day from Matt Eberflus, which by the way, I said the record against the Bears was 5-3. It almost was 4-4. Because Eberflus forgot to call a fucking timeout. So like but my point is like it's much closer. Like you guys can talk about the Vikings, dude. They're 6-2. They've whooped the Vikings. I mean, it's taking care of the Vikings. They took care of the Packers.
That's
like
fine,
the
but
Bears.
We're talking about season long. Like you can win a game, but if you're winning 9 games compared to a team winning 11 to 12 games, like the Vikings potentially could.
They're a tougher matchup. They just are. They're a tougher matchup because
sure.
They play outside.
On paper, they are.
Chicago. That's why it like. Again, we're talking about biggest threat. If you want to go this year, fine. If you want to give it a year, I think over the next 5 years, I think it's this year. But if you want to go 5 years, it's still the Bears to me. I just do. I'm going with the guy that knows Dan the most and the best. Okay.
See, I don't hate it. Like I think that's third. I think the Packers are last. So like I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to sit here and argue with the Bears. If I'm being honest, I know a lot of people will.
I'm not seeing his rebuild yapping.
That's where me and Klotz will differ. It's just I disagree. Like. I still do think the Bears have a chance to be good this year. I don't think it's going to be and I've been the one the last 3 years that have been trying to tell people stay off the Bears.
And you talk
and the weed.
Silent just brought it up too. You talk about that defense over in Minnesota with Brian Flores. What about Dennis Allen? Can I interest you?
Dennis Allen. He did bring Dennis. He brought Dennis Allen up. Dennis Allen is just fine. He does. That's why again I don't think. I don't know. I just don't think it can be an argument. I think it's fine to say, hey, Bears are right.
I think the only egregious one, I think people, if you go with I just don't think you have an argument for the Packers right now. And
they did nothing this offseason.
I don't think they're going to be terrible. I just think, man, it's just tough to be like the Pack right now.
I fully believe that the Bears are going to pass the Packers up this year. That's my thought process.
I think they'll either be like tied. They're going to be neck and neck. Like I think they're fighting it out for the 3-4 spot.
I hate to say it, but I think the minimum is going to be 8 wins in this division.
Yeah, that's not a bad take at all.
So you have 4 good teams. That's why it's like, yeah, we could get mad at you for saying the Bears, but it's like really though because all these teams are going to actually be good teams. So it's just. Like last year, if you would have said this about Eberflus and been like Caleb Williams, which you did do, I would have been just like last year. I was probably mad at you. And the year before, Klotz with Justin Fields, like sit down and shut up, both of you.
Sit down.
Remember when I said that?
Don't say that, Boone. Don't say that, bro. We remember what happened.
That was funny.
Yeah, Jay. Hold on.
But no, seriously, both of you, Justin Fields and Caleb Williams lovers, sit down and shut up. I don't want to hear any of that. This year, that's fine. But this year, CJ Stroud. This year, I can actually say, hey, I feel like it's like the. I don't know the word I'm looking for. Who's the guy that like can see visions?
It's see visions.
See visions.
Chat knows.
Lost
Chat
him.
always knows. Chat always knows. The guy that's vision like Mussolini or something. I don't know.
Mussolini was an Italian dictator for
Yeah.
World War
Okay,
II.
no,
I
not
don't think-
Mussolini.
Hold on.
That's
I
why
think-
we're over here, Boone.
I think-
Nostradamus. That's what it was.
Mussolini, yeah, that's,
Nostradamus.
Who said
That's on me.
Mussolini?
Yeah, he,
Whoa, way off. Shout out AJ's burner.
Shout out, hey,
uh,
Boone, at least shout
Trev.
out for you for knowing who Mussolini is.
wow.
Nostradamus. I'm Nostradamus over here.
Very different from Mussolini. I'll
Yeah,
tell you.
way off.
That dude, yeah,
I don't really know what Mussolini did or anything, but
he took
I've
took
heard
out
of
a
him.
lot of people.
He took out Italians.
Boone,
No,
why do you think everybody moved from Italy?
he took out a lot of people. He took out a lot
He
of
was
people.
he was allies with Hitler.
Mussolini is the reason my family is in America
Yeah,
because my family left Sicily. My grandma
that would
or great
be
grandma.
specifically exactly why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out my grandma, man.
In
straight
America.
from
America.
right from Sicily.
It's the greatest country on earth too, America. So there's that too. But yeah, no.
And shout out Sicily too. Come on now.
Yeah,
Come on.
very
Sicilian.
fine, very fine. Respect the island. I respect the island.
No, you better, yeah, or else.
It's time to get to our top 10 offenses.
I'm
All right.
excited, boys.
I'll go first. I will.
Can
We are
can
going
we-
to start.
No, I don't. Listen. I vowed to myself my my New Year's resolution starting yesterday was be calm, Boone. Let's be a lot calmer. I want to just say this before because I did talk with Jeff before the show. I think everyone did theirs maybe a little different, or you two did it different than mine.
Okay.
So Jeff said he took into account offensive coordinators.
Well, coaches.
Yeah,
Coaches
I
coaches
took into
together.
account play callers as well.
I did not.
So you're going strictly off paper, which
Yes.
is if that's
What I
you're doing,
did-
I-
What I did is, and I text Jeff this as well. I essentially took quarterback, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and
Okay.
offensive line.
thought you
And
were
I
about
said,
that.
and I basically went, what team in the NFL has the most, like, from top to bottom, the best at each one? And then I went down from there. So I think we have a lot of the same teams. And I saw the list. I have one or two teams that are drastically different from both of you because I did mine based off of that, based off of players. I said top to bottom, O-line all the way up to quarterback and everything in between. I didn't even look at coordinators. I just said, who is the deepest team? Who has the best offensive players, essentially?
Fair.
So that's how I did mine.
I don't hate it. Long as we addressed it before, so we're not going
Yeah.
down this list. Like,
Because I'm actually disappointed in one or two of my picks and where they're at. And it's, if I did do coordinators, they probably would
Be
literally
different.
be like number 2 or number 3. And it was just looking back at it, I was like, oh man, that's definitely on me. So yeah, make sure you guys hit the like button too before we start
hit
this.
the
We should
like,
have
hit
80
the
likes.
like.
Hit
Thanks for
that
tapping
like
in
button.
today.
All right. Here is my top 10 offense.
I'm
Get off
excited to
my
see this.
damn screen, fellas. All right, get off my screen. It's my turn. All right, let me talk to the people. This is the best list on planet Earth. Okay. Remember the teams, remember where they're ranked. And in chat, bear with me. Okay. Like Booner perfectly described, I factored in play calling on this. I understand the Ravens last year were the number one offense in yards. I just don't know how you don't say them again. When you factor in what Lamar Jackson's doing through the air, when you factor in what Lamar Jackson is doing on the ground, when you factor in Derrick Henry, when you factor in DeAndre Hopkins, and dare I say Mark Andrews, who had a terrible drop, but still, Mark Andrews is Mark Andrews. Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, their offensive line's very good. I just think as a unit,
D-Hop
man,
now.
they're who?
D-Hop.
Yep, D-Hop and Isaiah Likely, another one, sneaky one. So, but the pieces they have, I just don't know how you can't say Baltimore. It's just that, and I don't know what the rate, like, can how many teams have been the number one offense like twice. I just don't know how I had
Wide
to go
receivers.
Baltimore again. I just don't. And I think, but I don't think they're getting D-Hop in his prime, but I think they're going to get I think Lamar's going to love D-Hop. That's kind of my early prediction. I think D-Hop's going to be pretty good with them. And then number 2, I have the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills. Again, similar argument. The Bills were a top offense last year. Very, very. Their yards were off the charts. You had James Cook running for all these yards, Josh Allen running for all these yards, but Josh through the air was efficient. And they have a bunch of weapons. They don't have a number one right now, but they have a bunch of great options. We're talking about the receiver they drafted last year, Coleman. What's the first name? Why am I blanking?
Keon Coleman.
Keon, thank you. Keon Coleman, Florida State transfer from MSU, big body, didn't really jump off the stat sheet last year, but I think he's going to be in a big year. He's going to be in for a big year in year 2. They already have Khalil Shakir, who's very good, Dalton Kincaid, Amari Cooper. You know, with Josh Allen and the offensive line, you can argue Buffalo has one of the best offensive lines in the entire league. I just think Buffalo is going to be back up there in terms of offensive production. I just don't see. I mean, these guys were both MVP candidates last year. It came down to these two. And obviously, I just got to give them that respect again. The Cincinnati Bengals at 3. I know what you're going to say. Hey, Jeff, their offensive line stinks. Guys, their defense is going to be awful. You know what that means? A lot of time on the field for the offense, which means a lot of points being scored, a lot of yards, a lot of garbage time yards. And we saw what Joe did last year with that defense, dude. If that defense was top 15, they would have been a very tough team, but Joe Burrow probably would have won MVP if they won like 12 games. He played at the highest level of any quarterback last year. I think they do that again. I think they play at that level. Jamar Chase, they brought back T. Higgins. Chase Brown, I don't love him, but I think he's a fine back. And I just think Joe Burrow probably, and I'll admit, puts them in this conversation with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Just what they've done last year, what they did last year. I think they'll replicate that. I think they don't have a choice. If they're going to be competitive, their offense has to be one of the best in the NFL. Number 4, the Los Angeles Rams. I'm taking into account running backs, wide receivers, quarterback, also Sean McVay calling plays. I think the Los Angeles Rams are going to have a really good offense. And because their offensive line, they've improved. You know, it's not a great O-line, but I think it's a fine O-line. And with Matthew Stafford, I know he's older, but still with the weapons they have, you have Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. I mean, you still got weapons. You still got productive players. And I think they're going to be a top offense along with Sean McVay. So number 5, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. The only reason why I put them a little lower is because they're getting a new offensive coordinator. If you think they should be lower, okay, fine. I just don't know what to expect out of the new OC. I just don't. And they promoted their passing game coordinator from last year, and their passing game wasn't even impressive. So I don't know what to make of that. He is an Italian, so you're maybe willing to give him some grace, but I don't know what to make of that. Last time they did that from within, it was an absolute disaster. Number 6, the Detroit Lions, same kind of ordeal, new OC, but again, the offensive line, at least Philly, you can make the argument their offensive line's still intact. Detroit lost Frank Ragnow. You have 2 young players. Graham's a big question mark. It's tough. John Morton, top 6 is still good. I'm not going to be mad if they're top 6. I just don't think they'll be top 5. Where Ben had them with Frank, you know, with they have Kevin Zeitler. I just don't think they'll be there given who they lost. At number 7, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you want to tell me the Bucs should be higher, I'm actually not going to be opposed to that. I see the chat saying that. I'm not going to be mad at that. I'm not. The only reason why I put them lower is because of the new OC. And whether you want to say it or not, are you going to go 3 for 3 with OCs? I just don't know. That's the only question mark I would put with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Washington Commanders at 8. They're returning with Cliff. You could probably argue they should be a little higher, but I put them at 8. Listen, Jane Daniels, I don't believe that he'll have a sophomore slump. I don't. Number 9, I have the San Francisco 49ers. Say what you want, man. Kyle Shanahan, while he's been with the San Francisco 49ers the last 4 years, they've had a top 7 offense in points, in yards. Top 7 in yards every single year. So, injuries, they happened last year. I don't think they happen this year. Christian McCaffrey, how many games he plays, but still the weapons they have, Brock Purdy, they just signed. I think they'll be top 10 offense, man, with Kyle Shanahan. And it's rare that they're not, unless Nick Mullins is starting. They will be top 10. And then number 10 are the Kansas City Chiefs. I just don't know what to. Kansas City's a tricky one. They should be higher. You'd expect them to, but last year kind of scared me. So I put them lower. That's another one that it's a little tricky, but I'm going off of last year, and they don't really have a true number 1 at this point. Rashee Rice is nice, but they don't have like a Tyreek Hill or prime Travis Kelce where you can easily put them in the top 5. So, this is my top 10 list, boys.
There's a lot of teams on here there's one team that I know for a fact that I have that you don't. The order, I feel like we could talk about the order. My order is pretty similar. I don't want to give away too much. There's definitely some things I would change, but the teams, again, there's one that I have that you don't, but if I were to have the team that you have, it'd be right outside at 11. So I like this list a lot. There's not too many issues that I have with it.
Yeah, I don't hate it as well. I mean, the only thing like Bengals, I think their weapons are good. I know Klotz loves the Bengals as well, so maybe I would move them down. I would have the Lions a little higher, just in my opinion. Bucks, I mean, I guess I'm just giving away my list, so I'll just wait. But
no, honestly, I think a fair
I don't hate
criticism
the
would be
list, to be
Bucks.
honest.
If you want to say the Bucks should be higher, I'm not going to hate them.
Yeah.
I
The
don't.
problem is with all of this, and I told you this, Jeff, earlier, is right now in the NFL, and I think when you don't really realize it until you do a list like this with the offenses, there are some really good offenses in the NFL right now, like very good. And I think I said it earlier, like 1 to 7. And I say 7 because I think I also have the Commanders around 7 or 8 to where I think that's where they should be. I know they were good last year, but I think when you look at these other offenses, I think 1 to 7, 1 to 8, it's just like, dude, you can mix and match them however you want. You could click shuffle, and I probably wouldn't be mad. And dead serious with that too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really am. I wouldn't mind if someone had the Ravens lower. I wouldn't mind if someone had the Bills lower, the Bengals lower, Rams up, down. Like it's just, to me, I think it's more so personal thoughts on players and schemes and coaches and all of that together. But it's just, there's so many from 1 to 7, 1 to 8. There's so many offenses in this NFL that are really, really good. I would have the Chiefs higher, to be honest. I think I have 1 or 2 spots higher on mine, but I do think with Rashid, I see what you're saying. They don't have a clear one, but that wide receiver core, dude, you can't look at that and be like, with Patrick Mahomes, that's a scary room. Rasheed Rice, Xavier Worthy last year towards the end of the year started to come on, and it's like, to me, maybe this is a recency bias from what he did at the end of the season. I think Xavier Worthy could be one of the better running or receivers in the NFL. Like I don't know about Tyreek level where he's all pro that many years in a row, but like, dude, that guy, he is insane. His speed, and he was a rookie.
Yeah.
That was his rookie year. So, and then you also talk about Hollywood Brown, to where he had the injury, but if he comes back from that injury, Hollywood Brown, that 1, 2, 3 is one of the best 1, 2, 3 in a wide receiver room you can have. Yeah, we do Klotz next because you guys are pretty similar. Mine's going to be the most.
And I want to make sure this is clear too, because the title says offense rankings. I'm ranking. This is going on when the year's over. When you look at yards, and that's what I mean. I don't want it to personnel. Like I just want to make sure we make it clear.
Oh, I did personnel. Yeah,
no, and that's fine. That's fine. I just want to make sure people understand where I'm going.
Top offenses
with that, like because if we were going personnel, it'd be a little different. I just want to make sure people know over my list. So whatever. All right, Klotzy.
All right,
because his is probably more similar than.
Yeah, it's very similar. I did mine a little bit differently as far as the viewpoint of it. I'd say for mine, I'm not going to look too much at statistics because I think it could be skewed. Like if you have a really good team that's playing a shit schedule, I think that could skew it compared to a team that's, for example, in the AFC North or even the NFC North that's going through a gauntlet of a schedule, but they're still playing really good. The statistics don't show it. But I valued mine. I would say coaching, quarterback, and offensive line were the 3 most important because you could have good playmakers. If you don't have that, the offense is going to be shit most likely. If you have bad quarterback, bad offensive line play, or bad head coach, your offense is most likely not going to be very good. So those are my kind of like the key factors. Starting at 10 with Jeff, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. Boone, you're absolutely spot on with the wide receiver core. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, and you have Andy Reid. I don't think that they're going to have back-to-back, like, what is this Chiefs offense? I don't think that they're going to be one of the best offenses in the league, though, because I think there's some serious concern with that offensive line still, and I'm not in love with Kareem Hunt or Isaiah Pacheco. I think that they're going to be a good running game. I think that they're going to have a solid offensive line. But when you compare it just, again, taking in all the factors to some of these other teams on the list, it's not that they can't be there. It's just I'm not quite sure about it. I got to see it first, as stupid as that may sound about the Kansas City Chiefs offense. But last year was just weird. It was a weird offense to watch. It didn't seem like they had the identity after they lost Rasheed Rice. And even when they had Rasheed Rice, that passing game was not on fire. Like, it was still, the Chiefs were not looking like the typical Chiefs offense. So they're at 10. The one, Hefe, that I'm very disappointed that you did not have and that I thought you would have had on here is the Denver Broncos. Boys, the Denver Broncos have a top 3 offensive line in football. And I think when you add that on to Sean Payton and the play call that he is and the offenses that he's put out, and you look at how efficient Bo Nix was, they add Evan Ingram, who I really like as an add in free agency. I think that's the perfect tight end for them. And then Cortland Sutton's on the outside. They didn't really add much, but what they did in the running back room this year, I think with RJ Harvey, and then they just added J.K. Dobbins last week, it's not Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. It's not Bucky Irving, Rashad White. But when you talk about just a physical downhill rushing attack, the Denver Broncos are going to be up there in rushing yards this year between that combo. And I think that's going to set up Bo Nix to throw for around 30 touchdowns. I don't think he has many turnovers. He's going to have Cortland Sutton down the field. He's going to have Vile and all the other guys, Mims, going through the middle of the field. And then Evan Ingram's going to be a really good tight end that's going to give it over the top element, and then play action. He's going to cause issues. So I think the Denver Broncos offensively are going to be a top 10 unit this year. And then, Jeff, I think you were spot on. Boone, I know you said 7-8 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers would be top 5 for me if they were able to keep Liam Cohen. And I just look at Baker, and I look at all of his career up until he got Dave Canales and Liam Cohen, and he was never a 4,000-yard guy. Now, granted, he was playing in Cleveland. He was playing in L.A., where he looked good under Sean McVay in Carolina, so there was really no consistency there. But I just struggle to see that Baker throws for 4,500 yards again. And I could see that Bucky Irving has a really good year, but now people are game planning to stop Bucky Irving. And Chris Godwin's coming off injury. Mike Evans, I still think is going to be Mike Evans. And then that tight end spot, they don't really have anybody. So I think when you look at the quarterback play calling, they're lacking compared to a team like the Washington Commanders. I think offensive line, when you look at Tampa Bay, probably better than the Commanders, but it's not far off. When you look at the play calling, the quarterback play, I think that's where Washington really elevates. I think Cliff Kingsbury returning with Jaden Daniels, who in my opinion is clearly a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. That's an added element when you are able to add Terry McLaurin with Deebo Samuel. I just think Washington offensively, they're going to be a little bit better through the air last year, and on the ground, they're going to be about the same. I just think it's going to be a steady team that's just, you're going to be watching Jaden Daniels, and it's not going to be Baltimore Ravens offense, but you're going to see Jaden Daniels do things for the Washington Commanders offense like Lamar does for the Ravens offense. And the one that I have really low, which I really don't want to put this low, is the Bengals. And Jeff, I agree with you. When you look at the games, the Bengals offense is going to be on the field a lot, but it's going to be a one-dimensional offense. I think that offensive line is going to struggle again. And I really like Chase Brown as a running back. I think he could be a 1,000-yard type of back, but they're just going to be pinning their ears back and they're going to be throwing the ball 40 times a game again. And I think when you look at the teams that are in front of them, that's not going to be the case for any of them. Even if their defense, I mean, we've seen the Lions defense be really bad before, but they were still able to run the football and throw the football to stay in games. Cincinnati's just one of those teams where they have to stay through the air. Again, Chase Brown is a good running back, but he's not a 3-down thumper that you're like, hey, go get us 100 yards this game, carry the backfield. He can have 100-yard games, but Cincinnati, I just think offensive line and run game is just not equal to a team like the Detroit Lions, who I would have top 3 if they still had Ben Johnson. They still had Frank Ragnow, but they don't. And I think that's a huge factor going into a tough schedule this year. Again, the Lions offense was on a historical pace over the last 15 years, especially seeing what they did. That's not going to stay the same. So instead of being a top 2 to 3 offense, they're going to be a top 5 offense. You could put them 6. I'm not going to hate you over that. But when you just look at offensive line is still going to be really good. It's not going to be dominant, elite like it has been, but it's still going to be really good offensive line. Jared Goff is a very good quarterback. They have an elite run game. They have elite wide receivers. And I still believe Dan Campbell, offensive guy, has this team's offensive identity intact. I don't think this running game might go down in the amount of big plays because you don't have Frank Ragnow or Kevin Zeitler, but this is still going to be a top 5 rushing attack in the NFL, and passing probably right there as well. So Detroit's a top 5 offense in the NFL, in my opinion, still. And Philadelphia, this is probably the one where, Boone, I wouldn't be surprised on your list if it's higher, because on paper, I mean, what the hell are you going to say about Philadelphia's offense as far as where's their weakness? Offensive line, best in the NFL. Wide receiver duo, one of the best in the NFL. They have the best running back in the NFL, and in my opinion, a top 10 quarterback in Jalen Hurts. My issue just comes, they got a new play caller before. We've seen the Philadelphia Eagles turn into a shell of themselves with new play caller before, and I just think with Jalen Hurts, when you look at the quarterbacks they got listed ahead of them, that's why they're at 4 and not 3. When you look at the Rams, you guys know I'm very high on them. I think they're going to be top 3 offense in the NFL this year. Their offensive line It's not the Eagles. It's not the Bills. It's not the Ravens, but it's a top 10 to 12 unit. They've improved that. And then I don't think I could talk enough about Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. End of story. With Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay, who in my opinion is the best play call in football if it's not Andy Reid, Rams are going to be really good. Offensively, defensively, that's going to be one of the teams to beat in the NFL period this year. I have them as my number 3. Both on the ground, we've seen Kyron Williams be an all-pro 2 years ago and had a really good season last year. I don't know if he's going to be able to keep this pace up for much longer, but for 2025, he's going to be a really good running back again. They're going to have a good ground game. And then number 2 and 1 with the Ravens and Bills, mismatch them if you want. I do not care. They both have elite offensive lines, MVP candidates at the quarterback spot. The reason that I have the Baltimore Ravens above the Buffalo Bills, I honestly think that when you look at the receiver rooms, Khalil Shakir, Zay Flowers, draw. Do whatever you want with them. Rashad Bateman, Keon Coleman, draw. Do whatever you want to do with them. I think Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews are better than Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox, but those are still good 2 tight end rooms. It just comes down to James Cook versus Derrick Henry. Who are you taking? It's Derrick Henry. So that's the lone reason why I have the Ravens above the Bills. If you got Derrick Henry on your team compared to James Cook, I'm taking that guy, especially when you got Lamar Jackson in the backfield. So give me the Ravens at 1. Very similar to Jeff's. Jeff left the Broncos off. Don't know why. His guy, Sean Payton, one of his quarterbacks in Bo Nix. Yeah. That's going to be a top 10 unit this year, Hefe.
That was a good. Hey, you know what though? That's a good catch though. I am a big Sean Payton guy. So
listen, I'm a Sean Payton guy too, and a Bo Nix guy. That Denver Broncos offense is not close to top 10. They're maybe 12, 13. Their offensive line, you could argue, puts them up there. The weapons compared, their weapons compared to the weapons that are on this list, like compare their weapons to the Chiefs' weapons, and then say, oh, Bo Nix or Patrick Mahomes. It's not close. Sean Payton or Andy Reid, or Sean Payton or Andy Reid. Oh, their run game with the rookie running back. Yeah, like
dude, RJ Harvey
he's good, but like he's not Ashton Genty. Like you're acting like he's going to be top 10 right away. I'm not saying. All right, wait. I'm going to calm down. I just don't think like there's a world where the Broncos. There's just not a world where the Broncos are a top 10. They don't have the weapons, and yeah, Evan Ingram's good. But like, all right, Evan Ingram, Travis Kelce. Okay. The running back or the receiving room.
Evan Ingram last year.
It was good, but like Travis Kelce is one of the greatest ever. All right, receiving room. You're taking the Chiefs receiving
the receivers
room.
I'll give you there. 1,000%.
Like it's not to me, it's not close. Like you throw them at 11 or 12 and you call it a day. But saying that I don't know how you don't have the Broncos in your top 10 is insane. Like the Broncos.
Because if you look at what
they might be at the end of the season, but they're not right now.
Because where their strength is, it's not the Ravens because the Ravens have Lamar Jackson. When you look at the Ravens, and even if you look at the Bills, they don't have playmakers like that. But what they do have is a really good fucking run game that sets up that passing attack because you don't want Bo Nix throwing more than 25 times a game, ideally. You want him throwing 25 times a game, going 17 for 25, 220 yards, and 2 touchdowns. You want RJ Harvey, who's going to be a very good running back day one in the NFL, and J.K. Dobbins to get between 150 to 175 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. It's going to be a running back duo with this offensive line that's going to be really good and help Bo Nix just play Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff.
I think that's solid. But like the difference between Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield is their weapons are night and day, 100 times better than what they have in Denver right now.
Well, let's get to your list, Boone. Talk to us here. Boone?
I think they have the 3rd best offense in their division. All right. Here's my list. I'll start at 10 here, and we'll just cut right to the chase.
The Chargers make an appearance.
The Los Angeles Chargers. Give me them over the Denver Broncos. Give me Justin Herbert over Bo Nix every single day of the week. Lukas Klotz. Give me that Justin Herbert offense. And I know you could say, well, the weapons. I would still go personally.
Oh, you got to do that now. You can't do that now.
Do what?
To bring up the weapons. Be like,
I said the weapons. The reason I don't have the Broncos there is because I don't think their weapons are good enough to put them in the top 10. You're talking about Amarion Hampton and Najee Harris. Najee is a proven guy in the NFL who every single season he's played in the NFL, I believe. I could be wrong. Let me double check real quick.
No, he's rushed for 1,000, Boone.
1,000 every season in his career. Amarion Hampton, who's the 2nd best, arguably, running back in this class, ahead of RJ Harvey. Ahead of him. And then you're talking about Ladd, Mike Williams, Trey Harris, who they drafted, Will Dissly, and Conk. Like, Dude, and then their offensive line. Let's talk about that. Getting Mekhi Becton, Joe Alt, Zion Johnson, Bradley Bozeman, Rashawn Slater at left tackle. And then, like, what are we talking about here? This offense is night and day better than this Broncos offense. In my opinion,
the Broncos were 11th, Boone.
I think they're 12th because I have the 49ers 11th on my list. I said 12. I said you should throw them 12, 13, 11, 12, 13. That's where I would throw them. So I have the Chargers at 10. I have the Commanders at 9. Listen, this is just one where they just slipped. Again, I said earlier in the show, I think 1-7, 1-8. It's just so interchangeable. However you want to look at the offenses, you can throw them all in different spots, and I wouldn't be mad. So I don't hate Jeff and Klotz's 1-8. This is just how kind of mine fell into place. I had the Chiefs at 8. I couldn't put them lower than 8, boys. I couldn't. I could have switched them with the Commanders. I just think with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, obviously I didn't think about coaches, so now I'm saying Andy Reid. But Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, and those 3 wide receivers, I think it just like automatically you go, yeah, you're not stopping this offense. Like I looked at a lot of this when I did it, like, hey, in the fourth quarter, offense marching down the field, could a defense stop them? And how successfully? And this Chiefs offense is just at a different level most of the time. 7. This might be the surprise for the people is 7, the Buffalo Bills. You guys both had them at 2. I put the Bills down here, and I stayed consistent. I put them down here because of that wide receiver room. That's it. It's just that frank. I think there are teams ahead that have better wide receiver rooms and weapons as a whole as Buffalo. I think Josh Allen and James Cook put the Bills up higher and put them into that category. So that was just the only reason I dropped them is just because, I went top to bottom. I went wide receivers, tight ends, running back. I went all of it. And to me, they're just missing that one piece. They're missing that one wide receiver, one that can be on a different level that they don't have. Someone that the Kansas City or the Los Angeles Rams at 6 has. I had to do it with their weapons that they have, Klotz. I respect this team. I think you had them too high, but I still think they're a top 6 offense in the NFL with Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. That filthy.
Don't forget about Kyron too now.
It's a filthy offense. And Sean McVay at the helm of it. Number 5, I went Cincinnati. Jeff, the only reason I had him at 5, O-line, man. O-line and running backs.
Which is fair.
O-line and running backs. You could say Chase Brown. You could talk about that running back room. I just think the fact that they don't have the best O-line and they don't have like a high level running back, and the fact that they're still at 5 because of the wide receivers that they have and the quarterback they have, I think that shows enough respect as is right there. Number 4, I think you both underrate this Tampa Bay offense. I think this is one of the best offenses in the entire NFL. Talking about Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Emeka Ibuka. I'm drawing a blank. Like Bucky Irvin, Rashad White, Baker, Jalen McMillan. They are stacked top to bottom, and I think they have a top 3, maybe top 4 offensive line in the NFL. And when you stack that up against a lot of these other teams, I do not understand how you guys even thought about putting them at 7 or 8. I really don't. It's just top to bottom. It's just like, as much as I want to, I just be like, I have to put them above these teams. I have to. Top to bottom, it's too tough. They're just very consistent across the board. Detroit Lions, again, I didn't look at the OC. I just looked so at the weapons. The only knock on the Detroit Lions is this, obviously the center and guard spot. That's it. Figuring out that offensive line. Everything else, boom, 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 checks all the boxes. That's why I have them above the Tampa Bay Bucks. And then at 1-2, I had the Eagles at 1. I know a lot of people might not like this, but at the end of the day, when you look at this Eagles offense, and the way I kind of thought about it, boys, was last year, like when push came to shove, no pun intended with the push tush, it just felt like any time this offense needed to get a touchdown or field, they came up and made the play. Anytime throughout the year. From week 1 to the Super Bowl, this to me was the most consistent offense. And they have the same offense as last year, except they just added A.J. Dillon as their backup running back, which I think was a great add. And I know they lost Mekhi Becton, but I'm pretty sure they traded. Is it Tyler Steen from the Texans? Was that who they traded for? Or
I know they made a move for a guard. Either way,
yes.
like Mekhi Becton was a plug and play last year.
Who is it? Matt Pryor. There's a player they traded for that was like a first round pick.
They traded for Kenyon Green.
Kenyon Green. Yes, that's what it is. All right, he's second on their depth chart. They went out and made a big trade for a guard to replace Mekhi Becton. And I just think their receivers, Dallas Goedert, top 7 tight end when he's playing at his best. Saquon, best running back in the game. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts. I mean, what are we doing here? To me, I think if you don't talk about them at being top 3, you probably just have the wrong list in front of you. Because last year they proved that. And I know Kellen Moore, I didn't take into account off OCs.
Yeah, no, I get personnel-wise.
But if you're talking about just offense personnel, to me, this is the best team going into this year based off of what they did last year.
Hey, I will say, Boone, because some of the points you made to push back on our list, I actually don't hate enough to push back too much, like the Bucks thing. Like the Bucks and Kansas City thing, I understand. If I'm being honest, I actually agree Chargers over Broncos. I do.
Offense, and let's think about the head coaches for these teams now. Jeff, you factor in play calls. I know Boone, this not so much for
Sean
you.
Payton's a better play caller. Yes, but I'm talking. I think
it's not even Super Bowl winning play caller. Had Teddy Bridgewater 5-0 with the Saints when Teddy Bridgewater was quarterback, and after Drew Brees goes down, Bo Nix was incredibly efficient last year and put up numbers. They're going to be a top probably 7 running game and probably top 10 passing offense, if I had to guess.
What happened the year before with the Broncos? Why wasn't their offense that good?
Russ.
Who was their coach? But you're just sitting here saying what he could do with anyone with Teddy Bridgewater.
I mean, that offensive.
You just can't make that argument if he hasn't done it with every quarterback.
So what happened? So Jared Goff in 2023. What happened to him in 2021 when Dan Campbell's first year? That was the first year in Denver where they took over, and obviously
I'm just saying you're using examples. I'm just letting you know you're using examples.
We've seen Bo Nix's rookie year already play better than Russell Wilson did ever under Sean Payton.
Right, you're getting worked up. Don't get worked up. Come on.
No, you got.
We're having fun here. Don't get too mad.
Klotz got me with the Sean Payton though. Yeah, that is my.
Yeah, but that offense just they just don't have the personnel. They should have done. They should have went out there and got more better person. They should have went and got receivers.
They did where they needed to though. When you have that's going to be a team where the defense they're going to.
Did you tell me the other day you agreed when I said the Chargers could win that division?
Their defense was a top 5 defense in football last year, where they went after getting after the quarterback.
Consistent. Pick one side. Stay with it.
For what?
Okay.
You agreed with me the other day when I said I think the Chargers could win that division. You said yes.
I did. What did I? Hold on. No. Okay. You want me to say? What did I say?
Well, we got a guest waiting. Again, calm down. Hey. Breathe, yoga. Now let's get our guest in here.
You're the one that's not.
All right, hey, can we get our guest in here?
We can. Let's bring up valid points.
Anger management. Great movie, by the way.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Speaking of offenses, I know a player that could. Make this Pistons offense pretty good. All right. I know you saw the ESPN article. They're putting out Giannis trades, and I saw our guy Eric, man. He's just going to fucking battle on X, dude. He's just fighting right now. And this is a man who's very opinionated. That's why I love having him on. He's a very smart dude. So let's bring on Eric Vincent. He covers the Detroit Pistons for Clutch Points. And he joins the show often, and I cannot wait to hear his opinion on this. Mr. Eric Vincent. Eric, how we doing, my man?
Come on.
Feeling good. I was enjoying the back and forth. I was cool just riding shotgun, being a fan. I like where y'all at. I love the energy right now. What's up, fellas?
Yeah, it's the type of energy you had today on X, Eric, man. You're on. Hey, I saw you going to battle out there. And to be fair, let me say this, Eric, before we get to the Giannis stuff. Mm-hmm. I love what you're saying. We were golfing 2 weeks ago. It was me, Caleb, Mike, and they're over here just shitting on Ivy. And it was pissing me off, and we're having this debate live on the course talking about Jaden Ivey. And then I saw the Giannis thing, and I'm not going to lie to you. I need your opinion on it because that trade got me, though. I can't. I saw Tobias, I saw Ivy, and I saw I can't remember the third player they threw in there. And 3 first
Tobias and Stu.
Yeah, Tobias, Ivy, Stu, and 3 picks, yeah.
It made me think, Eric. And I'm a big Ivy guy, but let me get your side of the kind of equation on both the Giannis trade and we can get into the Ivy stuff after. But just what are your thoughts on just the Giannis proposed trade on ESPN? What do you think?
I ain't gonna lie, man. This might sound kind of crazy, but if you really look at this deal, this is low-key kind of a steal for the Pistons. I ain't gonna lie. Like, to get a top 3 player, and again, I like these guys. I'm a huge Tobias fan. Loved them when they got him, a few years ago under SVG. I love Jaden Ivey, obviously, who we're going to talk about. Beef Stew has asserted himself as one of the better defenders in all of the NBA. And then the 3 first-round picks. But in these kind of instances, and we saw this with Orlando when they made the move for Desmond Bane, when everybody freaked out about the 5 first-rounders that they got. If you are going for a title, those picks don't matter. If you're in championship contention, the picks do not matter. I think it applies a little better for Orlando just because I feel like they have a little more foundational piece with those 3, with Franz, Paolo, and then Bane. And if they had to flip any of those guys, you can get a first or 2 back for any of them. Like, you're going to sell the house for Paolo, Franz will get you a pick back. Like, that's fine for them. In this pick right here, I love Tobias, but he's on a 1-year deal. He's getting older. And the Pistons are, I think, looking for a replacement long-term for him anyway at this moment. Ivy's a good player who still hasn't reached his peak, but, I still think he's a solid player to have. Beef Stew, again, great defender. I feel like Giannis kind of makes up for a lot of what those guys offer. You get the defense with Beef Stew from Giannis, who's one of the best two-way guys in the NBA. The offense, I think, that he brings is a combination, like, production-wise, between Tobias and Ivy. So I would love that personally. I don't know. I kind of wonder about the fit between him and Cade, just because Cade's jumper has been a little like streaky in terms of 3-point shooting. But I mean, I don't know how you say no to this, especially when, again, this is an interdivision trade too. So Milwaukee is not only getting rid of their star, but they're going to have to see him for the foreseeable future too. So that would make it tough. But I think this is a gamble that's worth entertaining if you were to ask me.
Yeah, you can add 2 first-rounders in there, Eric. I'll still keep them
right.
I would do the same thing. I would add more pay, whatever it takes. I put it out there today. I just feel like if you somehow add Giannis with Cade Cunningham, instantly, in my opinion, you become one of the top team, if not one of the top teams in the East. And you're sitting there, hey, you can go win a championship. Eric, I've been pretty vocal this offseason talking about kind of where I feel like Trajan should go with this offseason. And the one thing that I've been saying is, you're no longer a team that's chasing. You're now one of those teams there that has a chance to win. And my point with all of this has just been, you need to make a championship move. Like, it's no more, hey, let's step at a time. You're there. Like, it is time to make a championship move to go on and win a championship. What do you think in your mind? Let's say outside of Giannis, what would be a championship move in your mind that Trajan Langdon can make for this team to have a serious chance next season to contend for a championship, like you see a team like right now in the Indiana Pacers?
It obviously depends on what they give up to get these kind of pieces, but to me, a player that would put them in that kind of conversation would be somebody like Trey Murphy from the Pelicans. I love that guy's game. I think he's fantastic. Great two-way player. Gives them a huge boost offensively at that small forward position where they need a lot more consistency in terms of their front court scoring and offensive production, period. He can also be a big shooting guard as well next to Cade. So you would have a 6-7 point guard in Cade and a 6'8 shooting guard in Trey Murphy potentially, or whatever it would take to get him. I think that would be a huge boost. Now, honestly, for me, if you think about it, I feel like based on how the NBA is going right now, and again, we're going on your premise of trying to contend for a title. If you look at where the Eastern Conference is, to me, I look at contenders are you capable of getting to the Eastern Conference Championship or the Western Conference Finals? If you're a conference finals contender, to me, I view you as a championship contender. And to me, I feel like they're not far off from getting there. And I don't think it's going to take a big plunge right now based on how the Eastern Conference is to get to that point. You look at a lot of teams at the top of the East, like Boston is hurt now with Jason Tatum. We're seeing New York fire their coach. Thibodeau's out of there. They're talking about rumors of trading Karl Anthony Towns. Cleveland took a step back. Not take a step back, but they definitely underachieved with losing in the second round and obviously dealing with some injuries as well. Like, the East is wide open, and the Pistons were able to get as far as they did as a 6th seed with a lineup and a roster that wasn't even at 100%. So if we all think Cade Cunningham is as great as we think he is, which is like a superstar potential, I think he's an MVP level player. I don't think they need to take a Giannis-like plunge to get to that point. Now, again, the deal sounds good just because of what you're giving up and what you're getting in return, but to me, if they just kind of iron out the margins where, again, I like where they are with their 1 through 5, but if you can upgrade like your 6 through 10 rotation with guys to replace maybe like a Fontecchio, find maybe a replacement for Schroeder if you decide not to bring him back. I feel like those kind of pieces with a healthy Jaden Ivey and a healthy Isaiah Stewart, I think that's enough for them to at least contend in that Eastern Conference Finals margin based on where the Eastern Conference is right now. They're not an inexperienced team anymore. Like, they have that pedigree. They have a coach that's invested and has postseason experience. So, again, I think a guy like him, I even think a guy like Santi Aldama from the Grizzlies, like, I really like him a lot.
Great name, yeah.
I think he would be a huge lift for that bench. And if he had to play starter minutes, I don't think they're missing a beat with his ability to shoot and play defense. So I think they're in an advantageous position. Like, again, if that star trade makes sense, you entertain it. But I don't think it's a necessity like it was for a team like Orlando based on how the Eastern Conference is laid out and based on where the Pistons roster looks right now.
Yeah, that's Santi. That's Santi poll. Real quick, that's Santi poll. That's no.
I like that.
He's nice. He's
great.
nice.
Great poll. I don't think I'm hip to his game, Eric. I'm gonna have to do some research on him. But so kind of just on expanding the point that you just made, I was going to ask you if they kind of stay a little bit more reserved this offseason, Trajan and the Pistons do. You don't think that's a move where, as far as like an offseason, you think they're going to look back and be like, we should have made a move? Because I thought Boone made up a good point yesterday when he was talking about the Hawks, how they kind of just try to grow organically and they'd be the number 1 seed in the East. But in the playoffs, they're getting bounced early. So you don't think it's too much of an issue if they kind of stay reserved and just get key role pieces this offseason?
No, I don't think that would be a bad thing. I think the worst thing for them to do would be running back the exact same team. Like Trajan talked a lot about, the camaraderie with the locker room and the cohesiveness that helped make them great. And yes, that does matter. But running it back with the exact same roster, I think is a terrible mistake. Like, I just don't want to see them kind of fall back to the same limitations that they had and not even try to boost up in areas where they could improve with their roster. Again, guys that were getting like 20 plus minutes, like Fontecchio, Ron Holland, who I really like, but at this point in his career, I don't think they should be leaning on him super hard. They need those guys like, again, we saw what Malik Beasley did for this team. We saw what Tobias did. I think he did a great job of basically scrubbing his name and kind of showing that he can still be a productive player in the league. Tim Hardaway Jr., even though he was streaky, he still provided a lot of stability defensively as a leader and as a shooter for that team. And I feel like even Schroeder gets lost a lot in this conversation too. He was fantastic, especially in the playoffs. And I feel like those are the kind of areas that they need to be like working on improving. I don't necessarily think it needs to be a blow up the core kind of conversation in order to make sure they're taking those steps. Because again, all of the core pieces from Cade, Ivy, Duren, Asar, Beef Stew, they all took gradual steps forward, even though people on Twitter act like some of them didn't. We'll talk about that soon. I just think when you look at the way they played this season, everybody took a step forward, especially in the areas that were needed. Can Ivy show that he could be a jump shooter? Yes. Can Duren show that he can be a defender and a paint protector? Yes. Can Asar show some kind of level of production on the offensive end? Yes. Can Beef Stew show that he can be productive off the bench as a 6-man for the second unit? Absolutely. So I think the fact that they keep making those steps forward is enough reason, especially when they got to the playoffs. It's not like the Pistons just barely got into the play-in. They made it to the 6th seed and almost beat the Knicks if a couple calls go correctly and if a couple, shots go in. Every single game was close. So I think they're a lot closer than people think. I understand the allure and the desire to make some of those big splashes. That's a big, sexy headline of the NBA, but I think they're still closer than people realize, and they don't have to make that plunge immediately just yet.
Well, let me ask you this, Eric, and before we get you out of here, I want to get your thoughts on this whole Ivy thing because it's been a pretty consistent conversation. And I think Ivy, this is where I'm coming from with Ivy. I think Ivy's going to be a really good player. And whether you think it's going to be with Cade or not is irrelevant. I mean, and we can go back and forth. It's hard because you don't have a lot of data that you can look at and say, well, we have Cade and Jaden playing together for a large sample size. So that argument kind of goes both ways. But just looking at the player, we saw his 3-point shooting improve. the turnovers, like I understand that. The erratic play sometimes, I understand that. But the athleticism, and this is what frustrates me so much, is because I think he has the athleticism and the length to be a much better defender. He just isn't at times. But
Right.
I don't think he's a complete liability. I think there's arguments for both ways, whether you think Ivy can grow into a very good player. I've seen takes about people think he can be like a sixth man, which I think is just fucking disrespectful in my opinion. But what makes you so high on Ivy, or at least more confident that he can develop into, a 20+ point scorer? Because I'll say this, man, hypothetically, if the Bucks were to get an Ivy, we know what he would be in Milwaukee. Like, he would be a really good player. So it kind of explain your side on that, why you have so much faith in the player rather than some Pistons fans that are probably already given up on the guy.
Yeah, I just think he's done a great job of surpassing a lot of his expectation. Like, again, the jump shot was a huge question mark. And even if Piston fans were to bet and say, yeah, he could take that step in his 3-point shooting, I don't think anybody would have bet. Like, last season, he was a 33% 3-point shooter. Nobody would have bet cash on the line that he would have turned into a 40% 3-point shooter, especially even in a 30-game span. I feel like everybody would have safely bet 36, 37%, which still would have been good. 40%, including 45% on catch and shoot opportunities, is unbelievable. We already know what his athleticism looks like with his speed. I think JB does a really good job of making sure that he isolates in space and using his speed to play downhill and get to the hoop. I also think he's one of the better Pistons in terms of drawing contact and getting to the free throw line, even though his free throw numbers need to get up a little bit more. He, to me, is the best at drawing contact and getting to the line. To me, he's the best kind of compliment to a guy like Cade Cunningham, who's not super fast, but he brings athleticism, he brings speed, he brings a different change of pace and dynamic. And I don't understand. Like, again, I've been arguing about this all day. I had a job today, so I've been chilling and arguing with people on social media. I've had people telling me that he can't create his own shot. He doesn't create for others. There was no significant improvements in his game. Like, I don't understand what people are seeing. Even like some of the other media members I was talking to, they're arguing with me and telling me, hey, he's still bad at this. He's still not great at this. That's not my argument. Yes, there are a lot of areas where Ivy can still grow, but is any of the areas that he needs to improve on, has he not shown the ability to at least do it in stretches? Yes. Can he show the ability to run an offense? Yes. Shoot? Yes. Play defense? Absolutely. Like, he can improve in all those areas. And then one more part too, because it kind of turned, unfortunately, to an Ivy versus Ausar conversation, which I didn't want it to be. But if you look at Ivy's game, regardless of all the improvement he needs to make, there's no part of his game that's in such glaring need that's worse than Ausar Thompson's jump shot. So I heard a lot of people saying, like, hey, you can just overlook that for Ausar. He's still going to be the next Scottie Pippen. Like, I just heard a lot of crazy takes. It feels like people are like giving excuses and passes to other people's deficiencies while like killing Ivy for his. And I just don't like that. They played better basketball when he was on the floor. Like, if y'all want to see Cade Cunningham in a heliocentric offense where he's getting trapped constantly, then fine. Get rid of a guy like Ivy and watch him struggle and keep those turnovers high for the rest of his career. But the way I saw it, I think Ivy is a perfect compliment to him. They all love him in that locker room. He's taken great steps through his first 3 seasons, regardless of the terrible like situations he's been in with Monty Williams. And again, the bench thing doesn't even make sense, because when he was coming off the bench, he was frustrated and not playing his best basketball. So we don't know if he'll be a perfect bench piece or not. So I don't know, man. I think people are really overlooking his game. I think it may be some recency bias, but I would not quit on Jaden Ivey yet. I still think he has a lot of left in the tank, and I think the Pistons are a perfect place for him to be.
Yeah, I'm there with you on a side too, Eric, to where if you have to run with Jaden Ivey next year, I don't think it's a bad thing, in my opinion. Like, I think you can go win, keep winning with Jaden Ivey, and it puts another, you didn't have him in this run. If you're someone saying, hey, you add Ivy to this team, it makes you worse, that's wrong, in my opinion. So I see where you're coming with that, Eric, to where, like, if you add Ivy to this team, just because they got better when he was out doesn't mean if he was there, they would have been better. He's good. Like, I think you're discounting what he actually is, but I am on the side to where, hey, if there is, and you kind of said at the beginning of the show, if there's a package that helps your team improve more, above Jaden Ivey, I think at least personally, I'm willing to move on from Ivey if that package is available and presents itself. I do want to ask you, because you did bring up Asar there. I do want to ask just your thoughts, because there was one of the questions I had written down just because I'm interested on how people feel about Asar going into this next year. Like, kind of really, Eric, just like, how do we feel Asar's ceiling is? And then even after that, like going into this season, how big of a jump is it? Hey, we're expecting Asar Thompson to take for this Pistons team.
I think it's a lot of pressure on him to be that. To me, I think he has the most room to grow out of a lot of the other young core guys. Like, I like Asar's game. I think he's a very good defender, but we also did see a lot of areas where he needs to improve immediately. Like, he's a very good defender, but he also had problems staying on the court because of foul trouble. Like, a lot of foul baiting guys like Jalen Brunson put him in hell with, getting him in foul trouble early, and that took him off the court. Even if you look at him offensively, like, he doesn't, like, there were literally games last season. I remember the Golden State game where he had a shot on the perimeter and Draymond Green turned his back with no threat of even worrying about Asar shooting that jumper. Like, that's a problem for this team. He has to at least give a threat to make a defender want to close out and challenge to keep the defense on their heels. Like, we saw that with Beef Stew last season when they tried him as a stretch four. Even with his increased numbers, the defense looked at him like, bro, okay, if you're going to shoot that, then we're fine. As long as Cade isn't killing us, as long as Ivy's not killing us, we don't care what you do. That's exactly how they treat him, and I don't think that's a good thing for this Pistons team. Like, we could see opponents, like, he was I think a 58% free throw shooter last season, and then I think 63% this season. If teams were to get a little, smart in terms of their planning, they could do a hack of Asar and limit his impact completely to get him off of the floor because he's a bad free throw shooter. Asar's limitations, to me, are not something that you can ignore. And that's one of the biggest problems that I hear from a lot of Pistons fans and media members. Like, he's a very good player. I love his upside. I love how athletic he is. I love what he brings to this team. But acting like he's already established himself as the next Scottie Pippen, as I heard, just sounds crazy. Like, already acting like he is just like the established, polished, like second most polished player on this roster, knowing what his limitations are on offense, just don't make any kind of sense to me. Even like, there were games where he had wide open layups and he lost the ball because his ball handling was so loose. Like, there are still areas where Asar can improve. And I think a lot of people just kind of overlook that for some reason. Again, I'm not trying to hate on him. I don't want to make this Asar versus Ivy, but there are areas that he can improve. And I think it'll make a world of a difference for the Detroit Pistons next season.
Eric, earlier you brought up, and it's very true, how the East is just wide open. And then we kind of hit on the Desmond Bane train. Is there any move that you see? We talk about Giannis. In Detroit, we're talking about Jaren Jackson Jr. being traded. Is there any move within the East that you hope to not see as a team in the East trading for another star player that you're like, that's the last thing that the Pistons need right now with how open the East is?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I would have put it on Orlando, to be honest with you, because I think those are the kind of teams that are on the rise. Like, the top, like, four teams, like looking at Cleveland, Boston, New York, even Indiana, like, they don't scare me as much as a lot of the other teams that could be coming up. I feel like maybe Indiana would be probably the biggest scare, because the Pistons division, I think, is one of the strongest in the NBA. So if they find a way to load up and add a little more pieces, because apparently we don't know what they're going to do with Miles Turner. He's interested apparently in coming back, but he also, coming off into unrestricted free agency in the finals, he probably wants to cash out on his opportunity, and I totally understand that. But to me, I don't want to see this division get any stronger. Cleveland made a really good move pulling up DeAndre Hunter in the offseason. I think that was huge for them. Even teams at the bottom that maybe not be in the division, like teams like Toronto, I think could be dangerous because they already have a nice core of guys. If they find a way to maybe get a point guard or somebody else to kind of go with those bigs that they have in their front court, they could be dangerous. I wouldn't even rule out Orlando to make one more move. I feel like I like Jalen Suggs, on their team as their, in their backcourt with Bane, but I still think they could find maybe another guy that could upgrade them and be a little more stable in terms of their backcourt. Like I said, the East is very dangerous right now. They can shake up a lot of things, and I'm hoping the Pistons pay attention to that. They always say they don't pay too much to the movement of other teams. I think now is the point where you got to do it. Like, you can't watch all of these teams get better while you just sit still and say, hey, we're figuring it out. I kind of have that issue with the Lions a little bit to an extent in terms of their defensive line, but we'll talk about that later. I just don't want to see the Pistons get washed away in terms of the movement of all the other Eastern Conference teams, because it looks like a lot of teams are hungry to kind of take that next step.
Yeah, this East, I mean, it's a lot different, man. The West is always stacked, but East is getting better, man. Especially got Desmond Bane with the Magic. The Magic team is going to be sneaky good too. They're already really good defensively, but Desmond Bane, man, these teams are making moves. Puts a little pressure on the Pistons, in my opinion. But Eric, we appreciate you, man. Keep up the great work. Appreciate you always taking the time. You guys can follow Eric on X right here. I am Eric Vincent. The guy is absolutely crushing it. Hey, if you ever get into these debates on X consistently, which you do, I'll be tuning in. All right, it's entertainment, Eric.
It is entertaining, man. I love it.
Go back down, Eric. All right.
I gotta go put my shield on. I got more work to do. My notifications going right back. I got more work to do.
Go put the boots on, man.
Appreciate y'all.
These people disrespect Ivy. That's
never that. I got y'all. Appreciate y'all, fellas.
I got you, brother. Talk to you soon. There you
Yes,
go,
sir.
Eric Vincent. Yep, he knows ball, man. He does, definitely does. Appreciate the Pro Ivy news out there, the Pro Ivy narrative. Again, I like Eric said though. You give me Giannis, see you later. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I see Flannel, and we're arguing in our group chat right now about Tyrese Halliburton. Sam Flannel's calling this guy the most overrated player in the entire league, or something.
That's his new. Who else does he always call overrated?
Flannel, I love that man. He's the best to argue in group chats with. Honestly, he's so much fun. He thinks Ben Wallace is overrated.
Thing is, it's about the totality of what you do. When your numbers are that great, when your points and assist numbers and efficiency numbers are that great, it doesn't really matter how you get him. It doesn't matter when you get him. I just want that guy on my team. And I don't want a guy who shoots 41% from the field and 28% from three right now. That is Cade Cunningham, by the way.
Talk about Cade versus Tyrese, and Easy pulled that up. Shout out Flannel.
Wanted Tyrese over Cade. That's tough.
He did. Easy is the number one receipt puller, and Booner and Easy both.
I pull receipts. I'll make sure, because you know what I hate. I hate people go back and forth, and I love Flannel, but we're in the chat. If people don't know, but we have a group chat with all the boys still. And again, Flannel's like, I put in the chat, hey, Tyrese right now, because I know Flannel's been Tyrese Siakam guy. Siakam's better. Siakam plus 9 plus minus. Tyrese right now plus 25 in the NBA Finals and a half. And I've been in this battle with Flannel off air for weeks now of him saying Tyrese is the most overrated player in the NBA. The man is back-to-back seasons all NBA. And then what comes out is, well, he's struggling shooting. He can't shoot. He's shot 39% from three in his career, boys. 39. And his first 5 seasons, he has shot over 40% from three for 5 straight seasons. Yeah. Back to back, all NBA. Siakam, and I think Siakam's a great player. You could argue better scorer, 100%, 20 points per game, right? He wasn't all NBA since 2021, 2022. It's not, we're not talking about Siakam from Toronto. Tyrese Halliburton, and this is, you guys know this, I said a couple days ago. I just hate the disrespect of him, whether you like him or not. He's a top 15 player in the NBA right now, whether he scores 30 or not. I hate the people who are like, you have to score 30, 40 to be one of the best players in the NBA. No, you don't. Tyrese is proving it. He just took his team to the NBA Finals without doing it. And then I hate pull the stats in the NBA Finals. Oh, what are you talking about? When the guy has a calf strain for 6 games and he's playing through it, and half of those games, he's putting up numbers to help his team, and the other halves, he's struggling because the man can't run. What are we doing here, man? I just hate when people ignore straight facts. You know what I mean? And I love Flannel. And Flannel's a facts guy, and he's a stats guy. But sometimes when people just hate people, they just shut it all off. They forget, let me actually look at the reality of the situation.
Yeah, Flannel. I love Flannel, man.
The best,
I love that guy. We battled for over a year. I mean, and you were there, Klotzy. I mean, we went to war with flannel. It was good. I love
Nothing made my day more than flannel. It would be like a text in the group chat, like flannel pop. That's all it'd say, flannel pop, and you'd have to go and watch flannel freak the fuck out over Tyrese Halliburton.
He's one of one. He really is. Hey, appreciate you all, man. Appreciate Eric. Great show today. We'll be back tomorrow, Friday show. Be there.
I gotta watch flannel in the morning now, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Do it. All right.
I have to check out, man.
Until tomorrow. Much
love you guys so much. See you tomorrow.